Ethan was the final factor.
Yeah.
If my dog snoring becomes audible, let me know.
We'll do. Let's get that link tweeted.
All right, so I've already hit the start button. We've got Justice Mosquito joining us today. Ben, Ethan, Zach, and I, as always, Kvetching Draftniks. We're going to start out with the preseason action that's been going on. Zach, how'd you enjoy that 16-10 beatdown?
Honestly, I didn't get to see as much as I would like to. I was at a job interview that night, so I got to see like the Tannehill drive and like most of the Ryan drive, and that was about it.
So you're not going to work at the barbecue place anymore?
No, I will not be working at Sonny's Barbecue for much longer, unfortunately. But
So your dad fired you. How does that feel?
I didn't actually get fired. I'm just moving to Atlanta. But yeah, I mean, I can't really speak on that one, unfortunately. But I mean, from what I saw, I mean, Tannehill looked sharp, Ryan looked sharp. Both guys were firing on full gears. The offense is clearly no longer like the same vanilla stuff that Mike Sherman just always ran. Like, we actually called a play action pass out of the shotgun, which I don't think happened at all last year.
There's no hut.
Yeah, it's no go or go-go on every single snap. So, I mean, I saw a lot of progress. Lamar Miller looked much better. He showed some strong runs. He's definitely a lot stronger. Can run through contact much better. Yeah, I was impressed by the little that I saw.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised at the Falcons just not sending any rushers at all.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of...
You guys have rushers?
They do, but I guess they're hiding.
I mean, besides Hagman, you guys have people that can like actually rush the passer?
Yeah, Jonathan Massaquoi. You'd be surprised.
James was actually stonewalling people. Like, I wasn't a huge Juwan James fan coming out of the draft, but he actually held his own in that game. I was surprised by it.
He was going against Jonathan Babineau, who shouldn't have been playing left end the entire time, but okay.
To be fair, I think that James has the ability to just step in and be an immediately average NFL right tackle. It's hard to be much worse than Tyson Clabo was last year.
To be fair, Clabo was good the second half of the year.
That's true, but I mean, watching him against the Bills just make me want to redecorate the walls in my room with my internal organs. So go straight Hannibal on everyone.
I can understand. Ben, how's the Eagles doing?
Oh God. Well, Foles. People were talking about Foles working on his feet like all of camp, and then when I went to camp, his feet looked really good, and then during the Bears game, like under pressure, his footwork just completely collapses, and he was thrown off his back foot, and passes were sailing, and one of the interceptions I'm pretty sure came off of like a pass. He like stepped up in the pocket, threw off his back foot, sailed over the receiver, and got picked off. And the other one, I'm pretty sure he threw right across his body. So that's kind of worrying. Just him just kind of doing stupid shit like that in preseason. The offense just looked really sluggish, and I think there's being really vanilla. But I'm really worried about Alan Barber because we lost Lane Johnson for the first 4 games, and Alan Barber looked bad. And if
he is bad.
Yeah.
I saw him playing Green Bay, man. He is bad.
He's
just really fast. He's just really fast lineman.
But that worries me a lot. As for our defense, I thought our defense looked a lot better. Vinny Curry was killing people out there, which is awesome. I'm hoping that Asanero has a heavier rotation and at least has more say in it, because last year the personnel usage with the defensive linemen and the outside linebackers was really bad. Curry rarely saw snaps, Graham rarely saw snaps, despite them being really productive when they're actually on the field. So I'm hoping that there's a heavier rotation with the defensive linemen. And then as Justice pointed out to me, Bo Allen was also kicking people's asses. It was weird because in college, like I was impressed with his anchor, and he just was able to hold his own. But I never saw him push people back, or actually generate any kind of pressure or disruption. But he was putting guys on skates during that game, and he was really, really impressive, which is encouraging. Jalen Watkins had a really, really bad play where he completely missed the jam. I'm pretty sure he just jammed air, and then the receiver got basically a completely free release on him, and Jimmy Clausen threw a touchdown, which is the most depressing thing in the world.
Touchdown?
Yeah, Jordan Matthews looked like crap. His footwork was bad. He had two bad drops. One of them was Kyle Fuller, basically just getting the ball out of his hands. And he wasn't really separating in his routes, which was weird. I mean, it was just kind of weird to watch because in camp he looked really, really good, where you just had the twos just kind of hanging off of him, and they really weren't able to stop him, and he was catching everything. So it was really weird to see him struggle like that. So I'm hoping he can rebound for the next game. Besides that, our running back depth looks really good. Both Fluellen looked really, really good. So that's encouraging. He might be able to make the roster. The Huff kick return was awesome. I didn't really see Marcus Smith play. I keep on forgetting that we actually drafted him. But besides that, I mean, I think our defense looks a little bit better. They're hitting people a little bit harder, which is always fun to watch. But that's about it in terms of my thoughts on how we played.
So obviously everybody knows that Nick Foles is going to regress to some extent this upcoming year. To how much regression do you think we're going to see out of him?
I mean, statistically, it's going to be hard to match that touchdown interception ratio that he did last year. I mean, that was ridiculous. And I was hoping that the interceptions are going to go up, but I honestly think the touchdowns are also going to go up as well. I think that he's taking a lot of chances down the field. I mean, the offense is kind of oriented taking a lot of shots down the field, so that is going to be. I mean, that's kind of like a 50-50 thing in terms of those are going to be turnovers, those are going to be touchdowns kind of thing, and him playing the whole season is going to help as well. I'm still really worried about in terms of how he's what his footwork is under pressure, because that was an issue last year where he was just really missing guys or putting the ball in really weird spots and guys kind of making him look a lot better than he was. But I think that he has the potential to be really. I mean, he can be good in this offense. We've seen him be good in this offense, but it needs to be more him. If it's more him this year than Chip, then that's when the offense can take the next step. But I think he's going to get better just because of how he works, and just kind of evaluating how he works during practice. It's kind of hard to see him not getting better, and it would be weird to just see him either plateau or regress just the way he works in practice. And then being the starter over the summer, more talented offense around him. I think there will be more interceptions, but I think you're going to see overall a statistically very good season. Probably, I would say, I mean, if you take his numbers from last year and you put it over a 16-game season, he has over 4,000 yards. So I'm maybe a 4,000-yard season with something like 32 touchdowns, maybe 12 interceptions, something like that. But that's my estimation.
Just as we were talking a little earlier about the Pac-12, how does it feel that Oregon might not be winning it this year?
Yeah.
I mean,
pretty much. I mean, they never face they never do good against strong teams, right? So opening up their first real game against Michigan State isn't going to be super fun, especially when there's so much inexperience at the skill positions and on the interior offensive line and in the defensive secondary. So like that just seems like a trouble game to start the season with. And then they just play Stanford, they play UCLA. I mean, they play Washington. Like there's a lot of games that they could drop. Like those are the 4 that I'd be watching if I was looking for like Oregon to drop games.
Yeah, and it's frustrating because I feel like the only team that's more talented in the Pac-12 is probably either Washington or UCLA. Like I don't think Stanford is. I mean, they're just a very well-coached team. They have.
Yeah, they're just a bad matchup.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. And I'm hoping that our defensive line is living up to the offseason hype because that's like the main issue during the Stanford games is the defense just gets their ass kicked, especially up front.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't help that your starting inside linebacker is a 6 foot, 217-pound safety. So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, Oregon just wants to rotate like 25 dudes on defense every single game. So they just like make these tiny, they just have safeties playing linebackers, stuff like that. I don't know, that defensive scheme is so weird. And then Alioti's out there in Corvallis now wearing beaver hats and stuff like that after he retired.
That was weird.
Yeah.
I think the Eagles would bring him in, and then he'll just wear Eagles hats, and none of those OSU hats. That was frustrating.
Ethan, did you catch the Patriots today?
I mean, yes, but it was terrible, so we're not going to talk about that. I mean, they didn't play any of their starters. They played like 2 starters. They played Browner, who's not even going to start the first 4 games. They played Wilfork for 1 series. Brady didn't play. Apparently in the practices, Brady destroyed Washington, so they just didn't want to play him. The guy who looked really good, though, was Jimmy Garoppolo. He looked really good.
He started hitting deep balls.
The terrible Washington defense. He was doing some touch on his deep balls that Tom Brady cannot do. And it was kind of weird to watch because he had a perfect pocket every time. He was doing these 3-step, 5-step drops, getting the ball out so quick. And this guy, Timms from Florida Atlantic, was just reeling every single ball in. Garoppolo should have had 2 touchdowns in the game. He ended up only having 1 because Timms bobbled one that he should have caught, to be honest. It was a perfectly placed ball on a 50-yard pass. But Jimmy Garoppolo, I mean, my entire thing with him in the draft process was that he couldn't start right away because he had no pocket sense. He still has no pocket sense. He did some Manziel stuff in the game against the Redskins that, honestly, he can't get away with at the next level on a consistent basis. And he still fumbled a snap, actually. It got nullified because of a penalty, but he was sacked and he fumbled at one point in the game. But he looked good as a passer for his first game in the NFL. His first NFL game he's ever attended, by the way, as a spectator or as a player. He looked pretty darn good. He was probably the most impressive player on the team. The second most impressive player was this cornerback named Malcolm Butler, who's this rookie from Western Alabama. And he started across from Browner, and he looked really good. Like, I was actually watching some of his tape because I'd heard he had been impressing in camp. And he has 6 interceptions in camp off all the Patriots quarterbacks. I think he intercepted Brady twice as well. And he just really fluid hips. He's not going to make the practice squad. There's no way they're able to sneak him onto the team, and we have so many cornerbacks that I don't think that they're going to even try. But if they don't, he's going to be signed by the Jets because now they need a cornerback. But he's really good. Definitely a young player to watch. And then the other guy I wanted to bring up was Ryan Mallett. People are saying he had a bad game. It's not true. He had 3 really good passes nullified by penalties. He had a B- game. He didn't look great. I don't think he looked that bad when I was rewatching. He did not get helped by his teammates. And it would be nice to see him behind the first-string offensive line for once, because that's probably never going to happen. So those are my 3 big Patriots takeaways, because nobody else relevant really played at all.
Yeah, I watched that game, I think, yesterday when I was charting Garoppolo, and I have 7 out of his 9 passes past 10 yards were on target. And that was my huge thing on Garoppolo. It was just like he just hits a bunch of short stuff, and he wasn't able to use like touch deep, and he was able to nail it that game. And you're right, there was like no blitz; it was a clean pocket the entire time. But I mean, there's still something to be said that like he had actually a really good game, and yeah, that what's his name? I can't remember if it was Tynes or Times, whatever his name is.
Tim.
Yeah, that dude from Florida, Tim's, whatever. Yeah, he really showed up. Like he had like 5 really nice catches or something.
And he is suspended the first 4 games of the year, so the Patriots could actually probably sneak him onto the team by putting him on like the NFI list or whatever, or wherever Browner's going to be, because they could sneak him on that way. And he looked really good.
Because he doesn't count if he's part of the suspended list.
He is. He was suspended for Adderall.
What I'm saying is, if he's suspended, he doesn't count as part of the 53. He's reserve suspended, so he's guaranteed that spot.
And I mean, he's good. He was really good when I watched him. And I mean, just as you saw it, some of those deep passes, the anticipation and the ball placement was just absurd. It was pretty awesome. It was the best that I've seen as a Patriots fan in years, because Brady can't place deep balls anymore.
I personally,
Garoppolo, Bortles, and then Logan Thomas. Those were the 3 quarterbacks that I charted all the rookie quarterbacks, and those were the 3 that I had like really good games out of the gate.
Yeah, definitely. I think that Jimmy G, he still needs to learn how to manage a pocket. Every single good pass he made was on a prescribed like 3-step or 5-step and get the ball out type play, but he's not going to start right away. So let him wait and let him learn, because he has some really good skills.
How about
we're going to talk about Logan? Logan Thomas. All right, Logan pretty much killed the Texans at this point. So I have the only 2 missed passes that I have of him were down the sideline, 2 deep right sideline throws. And besides that, he nailed everything. And then at the end of the game, he threw his last pass was his touchdown. And like the pocket collapsed as he went to like throw, and he just like pumped it, tucked it, and then like ran down the middle. And college Logan would have just taken that thing off. He kept his eyes up and just threw like this like 16-yard touchdown to end his final drive.
Burger right there. That was awesome. He ducked the sack and then threw that touchdown. It was pretty vindicating to watch.
So inquiring minds want to know, do you think he can take over the spot from Carson Palmer this year?
I mean, Palmer played really good.
What?
I said Palmer played really good, but like I hope so. Logan Thomas is more fun. Just keep me entertained. That's all I want.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think he's going to be better sooner than a lot of people expect. I mean, I think there's probably a disappointing percentage of like the draft community that probably still thinks he's a tight end. And I think that he was a lot better last year than people. I mean, his last year at Virginia Tech than people gave him credit for, and I think he's going to be ready sooner than later. I think maybe not next year, but I think definitely 2016 he's going to be starting.
See, the big takeaway I had from that game, in the little bit that I watched, was that some team needs to trade for John Brown and actually get him reps, because that guy is really good, and he's going to totally just be wasted in Arizona.
I think he's starting.
He's
their 3rd wide receiver right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even so, like, if he was on a team with slightly less depth, I think he would be
Carolina Panthers.
their number 2, number 1 maybe. That guy is good, and the more I watched of him, like I had him in the process as sort of like a late 3rd, early 4th round pick, just because I wasn't sure of the transition. But he's basically a T.Y. Hilton clone. He is really, really good, and him and Garoppolo had some good chemistry too. I'd love him on the Patriots if we could possibly get him, but he's good.
Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna happen.
How bad are the Texans though? I mean, they have Watt and they have Clowney, and then the rest of their defense outside of maybe Jonathan Joseph.
Hey, it's all part of a master plan. It's a
remember what I said. They're gonna take Jadeveon Clowney number 1 overall. They're gonna be picking in the top 5 again the next year, and they may not be picking high enough to take their quarterback.
They're gonna
they're gonna win 4 games.
Ben knows what's happening.
And they're not going to have any
Leonard Williams next year, and then they're going to take Hackenberg in 2016.
They're going to trade down, they're going to get all the picks, and they're going to take Hackenberg in 2016. It's all part of the plan. And actually, it's smart for O'Brien. If he took Hackenberg after 3 years of being terrible, it would buy him at least 3 extra years in Houston. Because you're basically getting the quarterback combination with the head coach, and he thinks he can build Hackenberg. I think Hackenberg's special. I think that he is the closest thing to Luck that we've seen since Luck was a freshman. Very, very similar sort of traits whenever I watch him. I think it's going to happen. I think Hackenberg ends up in Houston at this point. I think it's part of the plan. It's all part of the plan.
Can we talk about Tom Savage for a second?
Yeah, exactly. He's going to provide us with endless amounts of comedic relief over these next few seasons until Hackenberg.
Man, dude, Tom Savage took 5 dropbacks. He threw 2 passes, like 2 dump downs, missed a deep ball, and then got sacked on back-to-back plays, and the last one was a safety, man. Like, Tom Savage just went out there and took a dump on a football field.
I mean, like, did anybody actually expect him to be any good?
I said that the entire time. Should not have been drafted.
No, he shouldn't.
I wouldn't have taken him at all. And
speaking of quarterbacks who shouldn't have been drafted, Garrett Gilbert played a football game, and he's not very good either.
No, I was watching that game with a friend of mine who watches some football but not a lot of football. He just points to Garrett Gilbert while he's on the screen after he made a really bad play. He's like, I don't know who that guy is, but he is a terrible quarterback.
And he's like their number 2. He came in during the second quarter or something. I was like, this is what's gonna happen when Bradford gets hurt again. This is who we're leaning on.
Hey,
with the amount that they've invested on that offensive line, if Bradford gets hurt again, they wasted a lot of money because Jake Long, Greg Robinson, Saffold, and Barksdale look like a solid group. So,
well, I mean,
it's
whatever quarterback they bring in next year.
Gil Brandt says that he could be the next Tom Brady. Not that there's any.
Man, so I talked to an NFL scout about him, and I guess the whole thing on him was we think he's good enough that he could be someone we could develop into something. Like if he would have stayed at Texas, maybe he would have developed into something, but there was just no development at SMU. But we also think he's bad enough that no one will steal him off our practice squad. So watch out for him being a late round pick. That's what an NFL scout told me last April or something. So I wonder. I mean, he's their number 2 quarterback though, right? That's not someone you're stashing on the practice squad. That dude's taking up a roster and he's 1 man away.
It's just because Sean Hill's injured.
Oh, is that why?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did Austin Davis retire? Because I thought he was their number 2 for a while. Maybe he lost his spot.
Austin Davis isn't good.
Well, none of them are good.
Sean Hill played in that game, though.
Hey, Mark Sanchez is a backup, man. He's about to win Philadelphia championship. Ask Ben about it.
He looked good, so I don't want to hear. He's been looking really good in camp, and I think he's just kind of for Chip's offense. I've always said that you just kind of need a facilitator playing quarterback. I mean, the quarterback isn't really the main cog to the offense, if that makes any sense. And I think that as long as Mark Sanchez sticks to the script, he can be a decent quarterback, and he's been showing that in camp, and he showed that during the preseason game. So I'm not really that worried. I mean, we have running backs, so we can just run the ball forever.
I'm just going to be honest. If I'm the Jaguars, I would trade a 7th round pick for Mark Sanchez and start him over Henne. Because I think he's better.
You're gonna start Bortles.
Yeah, I would just.
You're gonna start Bortles. Bortles is playing too good. There's no way Henne's gonna last for very long. Henne had back-to-back plays where he just messed up a snap.
Dude, this is where I gotta calm people down. The thing about the preseason is that it's always opposite when it comes to quarterbacks, especially young quarterbacks. I can't think of a single young quarterback who looked awesome in the preseason and then came into the regular season and looked just as good. Actually looked terrible. The only one was Russ Wilson that I can remember.
Ryan looked great in 08 in the preseason, and then came in and looked just as good during the season.
He also had Roddy White and not Julio, but he had Roddy White at that time.
Yeah, so Roddy White. Didn't have Tony. Just had Roddy White.
Don't really have any.
Well, all the Jaguars receivers are hurt on top of it.
We're good.
All the Jaguars, even the healthy receivers are out. Burns is their number 2.
07 wasn't a fluke. All it was.
But either way, I mean, I think back to Cam Newton in 2011. Cam Newton looked awful that preseason. There were people who thought that Clausen should start over him going into that regular season. And then he comes in for his first 2 games and sets a record for the most rookie passing yards in the regular season. These defenses aren't playing legitimately in the preseason, which is why you can't really evaluate based on the results. You just have to look at the process and look at how the people are sort of reacting. Because Blaine Gabbert looked really good as rookie preseason, then he came to the regular season and just crap the bed. I remember his first game.
Rodgers was terrible.
So speaking of Cam Newton, Matt Harmon said something pretty interesting the other day, and he says that it seems like Kelvin Benjamin has finally learned how to sink his hips and has developed some flexibility there. How do you guys feel about that? And do you really think there could have been that much of a drastic change in these past few months?
The thing with Kelvin
2 months, he learned how to play football.
The thing with Kelvin Benjamin is I think that you have to separate the pre-draft evaluation with the situation post-draft, because he's basically in the perfect situation post-draft to just kill it with Cam. Because even if they just dump the ball short, he's going to get catches, and he can make big plays out of short receptions. That's actually probably where I would personally utilize him. And they seem to be setting him deep a little bit more, and I'm a little skeptical of that in the regular season, but to this point, everyone seems to be saying his hands have been good in practice, which, maybe he improved it. So I'm pretty bullish on Kelvin Benjamin right now. I think that he could be a big sleeper this year.
You see, his hands, I always thought it was just focus issues that really plagued his hands. My worries were more about his ability to run a full route tree because of his limited flexibility. And his, he doesn't really, or at least I haven't seen him much of the preseason, but he definitely struggled to break back towards the line of scrimmage when I watched him, going through his college film last year. So I don't know. I mean, that would be a very quick development of just ridiculous amount of flexibility.
I'm just going to be honest. I don't think that matters that much. Because at the end of the day, if you're 6'5", or however big Kelvin Benjamin is, you're going to
ask him to high point every play, and he can go and do that.
And when you can break away from guys in the open field like Kelvin Benjamin can do, like I saw him do at Florida State, I mean, Kelvin Benjamin, he has a low downside for sure, but his upside to me is Terrell Owens. He has that type of skill set, especially after the catch, to really wreck things if he gets the opportunity, which is why I always, even as I evaluated him and saw the issues, I always had sort of if he gets in the right place type of vibe with him. Because if you use him correctly, or he learns how to play better, I mean, the upside is pretty limitless.
I mean, I think that my worry for him is there's not a lot of tape on him, so you don't really see his path in terms of how he's developed over the years. He's 24 years old, which is kind of a worry in terms of physical and mental development. And then his issues really, I mean, he had bad hands. He didn't really attack the football. He didn't run routes very well. And those are things those are huge things. I mean, if you're 6'5" and you're not playing like you're 6'5", you're really removing your best asset, especially if you have an issue separating in your routes. So if he can find some consistency with that, maybe I think he's going to be productive just for the sheer sake of where he is. I mean, Harry Douglas had 1,000 yards last year. Anything's possible, right? So, a shitty receiver in a pass situation can catch a lot of balls and be relatively productive. So I don't doubt how productive he'll be, but I still think he's going to be incredibly frustrating to play with. I mean, poor Cam, who's had to deal with garbage for basically his entire career. But I still think there's going to be a lot of drops. There's going to be a lot of miscommunications just because of I don't think Kelvin Benjamin is very good. I think it's going to be really hard for him to actually develop because of his age and his experience playing football.
I will say personally, I'm also sorry. Go.
Oh no, you can go ahead.
I was going to say I'm a Mike Shula fan. I like the offensive coordinator for Carolina. He's impressed whenever I've watched him. I think he'll get some creative plays going for Kelvin as well. Go.
I was just going to say, if any of you guys saw that Carolina game, I mean, that, what's his name, Brandon Williams, he stuck out like a sore thumb. I mean, he was playing with Joe Webb. He didn't get reps with the first stringers. But this dude was just running seams to win and was just killing him. He's 25. He used to play at Oregon. He's a former basketball player. He didn't really do much at Oregon. But, I mean, this is apparently some dude that, Carolina's been breeding for, a year or so. And he just showed up and, just put up numbers. And he looks really fast. I mean, I don't know if, who was it? Someone tweeted out today. It was one of the fantasy dudes, and they were like, he's the new Julius Thomas.
Was it Davis? Right. It was Davis, wasn't it?
Man, I don't know. Davis is watching though. He wants us to talk about Odell Beckham.
He thinks he's horrible.
I know he does. Did Odell even play the last game? I didn't see the Steelers game.
No, he should be back on Monday.
Yeah,
Okay.
he didn't play.
Man, free Shazier, free Kevin Pierre-Louis. Those are the only two math rushers I haven't been able to see yet because they were both hurt.
Jazier's been killing camp, right? I've only heard great things.
Yeah, he just has a messed up knee. I guess he's just like out for a week with his knee.
I'll be honest.
Kevin Pierre-Louis has some oblique injury.
I did Shazier for Optum Scouting, and I did some background into him, and every single person who knows Ryan Shazier says that he's basically he could probably cure cancer, save the whales, change the world. Awesome off the field. So he brings that to he would have been perfect for the Falcons.
His dad is like a minister for the Dolphins, right?
Yeah,
That was in our final mock draft that I did on radio show with Vincent Frank at eDraft. I mocked him to the Dolphins.
Yeah,
I heard he was a top 20 lock. I heard the Lions liked him at 10. That he was in play there. So, I mean, the Dolphins made a lot of sense, and he was on their radar. But also, I heard that Jawan James he was there.
Yeah, I mean, do you guys want to talk about what you guys heard about like draft rumors and things like that? Because what I had heard is like St. Louis really wanted him. Apparently.
Shazier?
Yeah, they were gonna have. I think they were gonna move Alec to like Mike or something, so that Shazier could play Will. Like that was one of the things that I heard. But I also got told to my face from someone close to Tampa that was like, yeah, they're not looking at Mike Evans. Like, you guys got to stop looking at Mike Evans. They want nothing to do with Mike Evans.
I mean, the big thing for me was that Johnny Manziel, Cowboys were looking at him. We all know that now. Minnesota, he was their top quarterback. And then Teddy was he was their sort of second man up after that. But Manziel, there's a lot of questions about him right now. But teams had him in the first round. That was where he was slated to go, and that was where he ended up going. So there might be a learning curve, but multiple teams were high on Manziel. That would probably be one.
Yeah, I always heard I always heard it was Dallas, right? And it was draft day when I heard the Bortles news, and I think I tweeted out right before people caught on to it. That was like, yo, yeah, they're thinking about Manziel, but if Bortles is there, Bortles is going to be Cowboy. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. Well, as soon as I saw Shazier went off the board, I was like, okay, as long as Martin's still there, that's who they're gonna take.
Well,
so
the
so this is gonna happen.
Thing leaked, but that was kind of weird because that's actually one if I had a little rant to make, if there's a story that everyone sort of knows is happening, but everyone just starts magically mocking Bortles to the Cardinals, there's a reason why you're mocking Bortles to the Cardinals. The reason why every single person just said, oh, in my latest mock draft, I'm going to mock Bortles to the Cardinals. It's because people were talking about how the agent leaked that Bortles might go to the Cardinals. Just say it. If everyone's hearing the same thing, just say it. There's no reason to be secretive.
I didn't talk to his agent, but I know 3 people who talked to his agent down in Radio City, and they all said the same thing, that he's just talking around, just saying, yep, 20's where we're going.
I also heard they had no idea that Jacksonville was going to take him. He was surprised.
Yeah, I mean, you guys know how that Manziel, the Jacksonville stuff started leaking, right?
Yeah, the GM told people.
He told Cecil. He told Cecil, and he knew Cecil was gonna tell him, because I guess they were working out or something. So he knew that Cecil was gonna tell him and leak it to Johnny. Right before a workout, he told him, we're thinking about taking Johnny. What do you think? He ended up telling his agent. His agent started telling other people, and that's how it started.
It's crazy how those things spread. The other thing that sort of the one rumor that I will say everyone sort of was talking about and that wasn't true at all was Hagman to Pittsburgh. Everybody thought Hagman was going to Pittsburgh, and then that just didn't happen.
Juwan James was the other one, right? Everyone knew Juwan James was going to go to Miami. He was the last tackle left there. They should have taken him with this.
He was going to Miami.
Huh?
You just kind of knew he was going to Miami.
Yeah.
I had this feeling that Minnesota was going to wind up with Bridgewater, but that's because I had a little bit of... Yeah.
Well, they were the one team that would have taken him, right? Like after Manziel was taken, it was like, okay, so it's either going to be Houston or it's going to be Minnesota.
It was going to be Houston at 33, which is why Minnesota traded at 32.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that.
That's what I
heard that Houston had that he wasn't on their board. I heard that they wanted Garoppolo.
A Tampa scout also said straight to Justice's face that they had no interest in Mike Evans. I mean, like, you can't believe any of the shit that you hear at that time of the year, and I never do. I mean, it's always interesting to listen to and pontificate about it, but I mean, when it comes down to it, like, they're just rumors, and it's fun to think about who might be interesting fits in certain places, but in terms of the validity of anything, there's almost zero.
Well, and there are certain things that just are bang on, like, everybody reported easily to the Patriots a month before the draft.
Yeah.
It was just common knowledge, and every single person in Boston, I guess, heard from the same exact people that it was going to be easily. And
the one that was interesting was Dion, right? Dion Buchanan, because it was always like, like Arizona's kind of thinking about it, and New England's kind of thinking about it.
That was a pick that I put.
New England was never going to take Dion in the first round.
Oh, really? Yeah. See, I had him to Arizona in my last one, I think.
New England's guys were, from what I heard, it was easily first, and then they wanted to take one of the tight ends. It was Ferry Jenkins or it was Nicholas. And when Nicholas was off the board, they said they took Garoppolo. They tried to move, but they took Garoppolo.
Yeah. That's another thing, was like the rise of Austin Seferian-Jenkins near the end of the draft, right? That was a huge tee-off thing, too. And I remember I was talking to people, and they're like, yeah, don't count out like him going to Green Bay. Like, if HaHa wasn't there, I'm not sure that's not the pick.
The first round comment to New England, I mean, it was in play, although I still think that they would have preferred to take him in the second because they also like Nicholas a lot. But it was in play. I mean, there was a very distinct possibility that they would have taken ASJ if Easley was off the board. And they couldn't.
The other picks that like people knew, like Mac to Oakland, Matthews to Atlanta, like, all these seem pretty simple.
Matthews to Atlanta wasn't a shock at all. If you know how the team works, and you know Matthews off the field, like they were trying to trade up for Matthews at 3, because Houston balked at the final offer from Atlanta.
I mean, the big thing is that if Mac wasn't on the board at 5, San Francisco was going to move up and take Evans.
Yep.
And that would have created that would have been interesting, because my guess is that Oakland would have taken Carr or Teddy in the first. I mean, everyone said they liked Carr more. That was the buzz, but they could have liked Teddy more. We don't really know.
The other thing was Odell Beckham, right? Because like no one knew where he was going to end up, but his absolute floor was Pittsburgh. Like Pittsburgh had him as like a top 5 guy. The other one was Roby. I heard Roby to San Diego. That was the one that a lot of people were saying too. Roby to San Diego, and then they ended up taking Verrett.
And Paul Richardson would have been the first round pick at 32 if they hadn't been able to trade for Seattle.
Man, I still don't like that pick.
Which it's inconceivable to me. But they draft, and they did this when Carroll was in New England. They draft based on physical ability, and they just say, buy into our system, we'll make something out of you. And they miss a lot, but they also have some big hits.
Green Bay does that too, but they don't usually like small receivers. Like the smallest guy they've ever drafted is Randall Cobb, and he's still like 5'10".
Wait, are we talking about Green Bay or Seattle?
Green Bay. Well, like Seattle definitely bought into like what Green Bay does. I mean, Schneider learned under Ted Thompson and stuff like that. Like Oakland, Kansas City, Seattle, the Jets to some extent. Like they all draft the same way as Green Bay.
Speaking of, there was a rumor that Denarius Moore could be on the trading block, which, if that's true,
who's Oakland throwing to?
He's good. I'm not sure where he's going to end up, but
Oakland knows they're getting fired after this year if they lose a bunch, right?
But I think they like Streeter a lot. Everyone seems to love Rod Streeter. I'm not entirely sure why, to be honest. I think he's okay.
About Holmes.
And also like Holmes, yeah.
Holmes can't catch though.
And
Holmes, every time you throw it to him, he like shakes the ball in his hand before he like secures it. It's the weirdest thing. You just like can't actually catch football like efficiently.
His hands are stiff.
Fine. Paul Richardson went ahead of Devontae Adams. I'm fine with that.
Devontae looked horrible last week, didn't he? Did Devontae look horrible?
Not as a receiver. As a returner, he looked terrible.
Has he ever been asked to do that before, though? He didn't return in Fresno.
Man, the thing is, Green Bay doesn't even care, man. Like, Green Bay just sends out people. They're going to have, like, Brett Good. They're going to have, like, their long snapper out there returning kicks at some point.
Yep, they wouldn't give a shit.
We'll trade you Dan Connolly. He can return kicks.
Nah. Ted Thompson's not trading no pigs. Ted Thompson once traded a backup long snapper for a pig. Ted Thompson's not trading no pigs.
But I will say, like, in terms of top 5 revelations this week, I think number 1 has to be that Harry Douglas uses secret.
Man, Harry Douglas is dead.
That would have been the epitome.
Let's put it this way. Aaron Parsons, his dislike for Harry Douglas is no different than any of the rest of the Falcons fan base. He is probably one of the least liked people on the team by the entire Falcons fan base.
Man, I'm just happy Hagman's getting TV time.
Yeah.
Hagman on TV is just the greatest thing in the world.
Hagman on TV is not leaving room for other people on TV, though. He's a big old dude.
That's fine. That's all he needs, man. I'll watch Hard Hagman. We don't even have to call it Hard Knocks. It's just an hour on Hagman.
Hard Hagman? Oh,
Hard Hagman.
Wait.
We'll just call him Matt Rushers.
You know what? As long as they just stop showing Croy Bierman and his friggin' ugly wife.
Oh no, that's the worst.
Wicked Witch of the East. Ugh.
My friend is a Falcons fan, and he's obsessed with Corey Bierman. I have no idea why.
It's because he's
Corey Bierman, the man, is like weird and awkward. Corey Bierman, the football player, is fun because he reminds us of Patrick Kearney. That's why Falcons fans like Corey Bierman.
And
why do you remind you of Patrick Kearney?
That's why we like him.
It just reminds me of myself, man.
Paul Warlow reminds us of like a mix between Brooking and Jesse Tuggle. That's why we like him.
You guys, I'm gonna get really annoying and start calling Bo Allen Poe Allen. Like, it's gonna be worse than Watman at some point. Like, Bo Allen absolutely killed the Bears, man. He killed the Bears.
When I watched his 40-yard dash, he could not complete a run of 40 yards.
Yeah.
In a straight line.
You only have to push a center like 10 yards back before he has to throw it. Man, the back of that center's head was in Jimmy Crossan's face. You can't undo these vines.
Stop. Is that more on Allen or more on Crossan?
It was weird. It was weird because I was right next to the defensive line drills during camp, and he was getting wrecked the entire time. And Evan Mathis on double team drills, but he was getting like every single play he was on the ground. So it was just kind of weird to see him play well. I mean, the Bears center must suck. I think that might be the case.
Has anyone heard of anything about Aaron Lynch? I'm just looking through the draft. I'm looking through like the draft, and I'm like, yo, I haven't heard anything about Aaron Lynch in like 4 months.
I've heard Aaron Lynch has looked good in San Francisco.
I heard like
as I expected.
I heard that whole second string defensive unit for San Francisco got like huge PFF grades.
Ethan, your guy Small would look good too.
Yawan Smallwood, nice. The guy who I've heard has looked really good, though, who I wasn't super high on coming out, but he's proved me wrong so far. Brandon Cooks has apparently just been destroying Saints camp.
Trust me, I've been hearing it from Saints fans for weeks now.
Every single time I see a Nick Underhill's tweet, it's just like, Brandon Cooks did this insane thing, or Brandon Cooks did that insane thing. And it's just like, it's crazy. Apparently, he's destroying it. And then on the other side of the coin, one guy who I hear consistently has been awful is Coney Ely.
Oh my god.
Like,
he's awful.
There are people who said that top 10 pick in this draft. If you watch a single Missouri game, you knew that he was not a top 10 pick at edge. Like, he's not very good at all.
Can we talk about how 2 kickers went ahead of Seantrell Henderson? This is ridiculous, man. And
Did he look
Terrence
good
Feed.
against the? Did he? I don't know who the Bills played, but I mean, he looked good.
I forget. Yeah, he did good in the Hall of Fame game.
What?
He did good in the Hall of Fame game. I haven't seen him since, though.
Yeah.
I would have rather had Chantrell Henderson than Marcus Sproul, I'll say that much.
I mean, I would rather have Chantrell Henderson than a bunch of people who. I mean, there's some garbage offensive linemen who went before him.
Like
If you
John
guys-
Colbert to
If
Indianapolis.
you guys want to talk about garbage, I mean, have you guys seen what Dallas is doing? Dallas played Terrence Mitchell like 60 snaps and started him, and then like Ahmad Dixon's like about to be one of the starting.
Yeah, I
safeties.
know. I heard Ahmad Dixon's getting snaps with the ones in camp now.
Yeah, like
I-
Dallas is just blown up after this year. They're just
Yeah, their defense is going to be really
They
fun.
could get the number one
I wanted to cry when I heard about DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yeah, I felt bad for him, but like that defense is going to be like hilariously bad this year.
yeah, but Kikaha's better than DeMarcus Lawrence anyway. So
We could talk about current draft. We could talk about that because I'm still not getting it with everyone's boy out of Washington. I still don't completely get it.
man, he knows judo, man. He'll mess you up with those hands.
Who is this?
I don't know.
Yeah, I missed who we're talking about as well.
Kikaha.
Oh, how
Theo
low
Lombardi.
Kaha.
I mean, I ranked him as like one of the top edge guys in the conference only because there's really no. I mean, besides like Tony Washington, there's really no guys who are like proven edge guys. But I mean, I think that concern with his like style versus his body type that's real.
Well, like, do you guys think DeMarcus Lawrence is better? So like that's the thing. I just think he's like a better version of DeMarcus Lawrence.
I don't think DeMarcus Lawrence is very good. So
All right, fair enough.
that's just. I mean, I just don't like power edge guys. I'm a little skeptical of how they translate, especially when they're as small as Kikaha is.
Yeah,
I think Gino
Nick Perry's gonna make me not like him.
I think Gino Grissom, Oklahoma, is going to end up being the guy a lot of people think Kikaha should be.
You said that one time, and then I like looked it up, and he was like, "Yeah, I've never like started a game or anything, so I just like never ended up looking up his tape." He's actually good though. He's legitimate.
If you watch the Sugar Bowl, he destroyed Cyrus. He totally. Cyrus is he's not very good, but I mean he's pretty good. Like he was drafted in the second round. He was drafted in the second round. I mean, I think Grissom's the kind of guy. He's better than Stryker at Oklahoma, in my opinion. I think that he's more projectable than him. And I think he's going to be underrated.
I have no idea what Stryker is in the NFL.
Yeah, exactly. Bruce Irvin, maybe?
What?
Maybe Bruce Irvin?
He's gonna be math rushers.
Like he's not even very like he doesn't have very good length either. He's just kind of like it's like a safety playing outside linebacker.
I'll be honest. I think he is going to be math rushers, Justice.
I'll watch him. I'll watch Stryker. I'll watch him. Is he a senior?
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. I know Dane Brugler compared him to Shazier. I'm pretty sure. So.
Okay.
Where's he at?
we're getting Justice excited right now.
Yeah.
He's a junior. He's a junior. He's a junior.
I have to wait till next year then.
Ethan,
I
junior
have to
from
wait till January.
Ethan, junior from where?
Oklahoma.
Florida? Oklahoma. But speaking of, so we can start talking about 2015 guys. I mean, what do you think about this group? I know Justin and I were talking about quarterbacks, about how there aren't very many good ones who are seniors. It's not a good class for quarterbacks at all. And I think that eventually, I mean, I'll be honest, I rewatched Braxton today. You know, he might be the best quarterback in this class when it's all said and done, if he doesn't heal up. I have him 5 right now, but he's probably, once I watch, I've been watching more Trevor Siemian, who I like, but he's probably going to end up bumping Trevor Siemian down to 5. I think Braxton will be a top 4 quarterback for me heading into the year, for sure, for seniors.
So I have him at 3. I have Keaton, Petty, and then, like, Petty's tied with Miller for me. So who do you have outside? I mean, do you have Mannion now?
I have Keaton, I have Shane Carden, and I have Petty.
That's fair enough.
I like
Carden. I think
senior because he's already graduated and he's taking yoga, which says he's not staying.
Wait, who? Carden?
No, Mariota.
yeah.
Oh. I mean,
Well,
yeah.
That's been the whole thing with Mariota the whole time, man.
He's already graduated, and he's taking freaking yoga and like ballroom dancing this semester. There's no reason for him to stay.
He's gone.
He's gone. Like he's not staying. He's already graduated. He's going to the Senior Bowl probably. Like.
I'm not entirely sure that Mariota is better than Keaton, but I have to rewatch Mariota to be sure of that.
I wasn't super impressed with Keaton. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
I love Keaton. Mariota's
I don't think he's this next great quarterback. Like, I think Keaton's probably a second round, third round guy who could develop into a good, solid starter. But I don't see him as a starter.
I think Justice was saying that the league is not as high on Keaton as a lot of drafts.
Like on tape, you'd look and or on foot, whatever you want to call it, and like Keaton is probably I gave him a day 2 grade. So but like the league is definitely not as high on him. Like I have Nationals rankings and stuff like that, and like Keaton's not even on there. Like they have like 600 dudes listed, and Keaton's not on there at all.
Yeah, that's pretty radical. I think that also says volumes about this quarterback class. It is not.
Yeah, but they also had Mannion. They had Mannion as like the 8th overall dude ahead of Vic Beasley. So
yeah,
I don't know how much
and that's not. He's not good. I think the Sean Mannion hype train is going to crash, similar to the Jevon Snead hype train of a few years.
Dude, man, I'm telling you, if you look at Sean Mannion, I charted as many games as I could for draft breakdown, and if you look if he's playing against good teams and bad teams, it's like night and day. And then you take away the fact that he didn't have he started his college career when he had Wheaton and he had Cooks, and now he has neither.
He couldn't even keep his starting job last year. He lost it to Ryan freaking Katz, who's awful too.
Wait, Sean Mannion considered as something more than like 6 or 7.
Cody Vaz is also awful.
Yeah, I think what was it? I think he got like a 6.9 or something.
Kind of surprised that no one has mentioned Bryce Petty yet.
I mentioned him. I told him he was my second quarterback.
All right.
His pocket presence.
I said he was tied with me.
Sucks.
See, I couldn't even get a feel on his pocket presence because you can't he didn't go against any rushers.
He reminds me, honestly, I don't think he's that different from Garoppolo coming out. I don't think
he has a way better deep ball. You're crazy. Petty has touch on that deep ball.
We saw Garoppolo's deep ball. Garoppolo got a deep ball, and I think that Petty has pretty good touch as well. But
when he plays backups, man, you know what? This is the thing. The Redskins don't have a starting secondary. How are they gonna have a third-string secondary?
Because those throws are perfect throws, whether they're against first stringers or second stringers. Those throws are window bucket throws, whether they're against first stringers or second stringers. Just because the defense sucks, that means he's going to take the route. It doesn't mean that he's not going to be able to make the throw and there's better players around him.
Can we talk about how Taylor Kelly's not going to get drafted?
Yeah,
because there's no way he's getting drafted.
Here's the real question. Who's going to be this year's Tom Savage? Is it going to be Jeff Driscoll or is it going to be Bo Wallace?
Mannion.
The NFL guys like Bo Wallace. They really like Bo Wallace.
Wait, do they really, Justice?
Yeah.
No,
they like Bo Wallace.
They gotta look across the state.
He's white. He plays in the SEC, and he's like kind of athletic. I mean, he's NFL Network's wet dream.
I think you're insulting all of these guys by putting them in the same sentence as Tom Savage. I don't think there's anybody as bad and as old as he is.
No, Bo Wallace is pretty awful.
There's not a better tweet than the person. So someone fired off a tweet on draft day and was like, "Man, it sure sounds like Pittsburgh could have used a quarterback like this Tom Savage kid last year." This is just the greatest time in the entire world. Thompson's actually good though, no?
I was going to talk about him. He's on my sleeper list. I like Dylan Thompson.
Yeah, I haven't seen him this year. People that I talk to are like, yeah, Dylan Thompson's actually legitimate.
He's got a good arm.
He's going to be a one-year starter, but he's solid.
He's got a good arm, but he's not I think Connor Shaw was a better quarterback. More poise, more intelligence, better leadership.
I did a...
Yeah, but still Kellen Moore, right?
That's Shaw.
I did a
none of that.
I did a quarterback metric, which it ranked quarterbacks based off of first their density and their weight and height, and then also based off of their TD INT percentage and their third down conversion percentage. And the top two overall are Cam Newton and Russell Wilson over the past 5 years. Number 3 was Connor Shaw, and Teddy was number 5. So maybe there's something to that.
Who was number 4?
I think it might have been Keenum.
Oh, well.
Speaking of Houston, they have. Has anyone seen O'Korn out of Houston? He's not a legitimate prospect.
No.
We have opposite opinions on this.
I've watched a lot of Houston because they have Deontay AJ Greenberry on their team, and Markeith Ambles and Daniel Spencer. Those weapons make O'Korn look so much better than he actually is. Because basically just throw them the ball and they just run down the field and make plays.
Man, see, this is the thing. People get all up on Jared Goff, and I'm like, man, this is the saddest quarterback I've seen in a while. But he's just like a freshman, so everyone loves him. I see Korn, and I'm like, yo, this guy's like legitimate. This guy could actually play.
Also, O'Korn said he wanted to model his game off of Tim Tebow. I'm just going to throw that out there, that he said that, and that should probably be a factor against judging him as a quarterback. Because if you want to model your game off of Tim Tebow, that's a no-no.
You know who's better than people are giving him credit for is Anthony Boone, the guy from Duke.
He got a lot. I think the problem is people watch a lot of his games when he's still recovering off of his collarbone injury. Like his early games, like he progressively got better as the year went on. Like when he was playing against Florida State, Texas A&M and stuff, like he looked better against Florida State than he did against like Wake Forest early in the, or not Wake Forest because Wake Forest was later. But yeah, just like North Carolina like earlier in the year and stuff like that. Like he definitely started progressing as the year went on. I guess Duke's still using the 2-quarterback system though. Even though what's his name?
The only thing I wouldn't like, I was gonna say the only 2 things I don't really like about him are his age. He's gonna be about 24, 25, starting his rookie year, and then that 2-quarterback system they're using.
But yeah, he doesn't get any red zone reps. That's the problem. And even though what's his name, the white quarterback that they had, Connett, he transferred to Fresno State. Yeah, he's at Fresno State, but they still said that they're gonna use the 2-quarterback system. So it's like great.
Houston's going to pick Anthony Boone this year. Houston is going to pick him in the red zone in round 6, and he's going to be their quarterback next year. Anthony Boone to Houston. Anthony Boone is going to be picked by Houston because they're not taking a quarterback before then because they want Hackenberg in 2016.
So let's talk about this. We're all talking about how Houston's not going to be able to take their quarterback in the first round. How many teams are going to need a quarterback in the first round? Because you think, okay, if St. Louis and if Tennessee they tank, then those are the 2. But like besides that, like it seems like a lot of teams have already like invested in like the next guy. You know what I mean?
All right, let's see.
I believe in Tannehill, but if Tannehill shits the bed this year, the Dolphins could very well be looking too.
The Jets could be one with Geno Smith if he doesn't take the next step.
Tampa.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely Tampa.
Let's see. Pittsburgh could be a dark horse because Roethlisberger's like 34, 35 now.
He's about to get that new contract, right?
And then Houston, and then Tennessee, because if Locker doesn't show up this year, they've got Charlie Whitehurst, and I don't trust Zach Mettenberger as far as I can throw him.
Roll Tide.
Kansas City could be a good fit, because I don't think Aaron Murray's that long-term answer there. You could see St. Louis.
Kansas City's not going to draft someone early after investing in Alex Smith. I mean, they're going to pay Alex Smith at some point this year.
Well, if they decide not to pay him, they'll need a quarterback.
That's true.
San Diego with Phillip Rivers, who's also 33, 34.
See, I think it's way more likely that the Giants move on than the Chargers do.
You know, I could see New Orleans taking one because Drew Brees is like 36, 37 years old. I could see Tampa taking one because Glennon and McCown don't inspire confidence. I could see Arizona taking one because Carson Palmer and Logan Thomas.
No.
Hey, you watch your mouth, Scott.
And I could see St. Louis taking one. I'd probably name like 12 teams right there.
But you can't see. I mean, New Orleans isn't going to take one high. Plus, people are all like, everyone loves Ryan Griffin for some reason. Yeah. Everyone in New Orleans is like, Ryan Griffin is the dude.
They call him RG4.
Sucks.
Man, so I mean, it's not that I disagree with you, but I'm pretty sure like the New Orleans Times-Picayune ran like a full-page spread on Ryan Griffin today. Like New Orleans loves Ryan Griffin for some reason.
Well, because he went to Tulane. If you went to Tulane and you played in New Orleans, you get the full-page spread too, just like Orleans Darkwa.
Scott, may I remind you that there was once a quarterback on the New Orleans Saints who went to Louisiana Lafayette as a backup. Did his time, got some opportunities, led him to a couple of comeback wins, and ended up being a starting quarterback for a little while in the NFL, and even led a team to a Super Bowl loss.
Yeah. Jake Delhomme, who went to Carolina.
After New Orleans, he started in New Orleans.
Defense in Carolina brought him to a Super Bowl. That was a nasty defense.
Then he scored 33 points and lost to the Patriots. Or 31 points or whatever.
Well, I mean, the Patriots are filming them and all that stuff, so I'm not really counting
that. Yeah.
But no, I'm not a Carolina fan by any means, but they're like the Falcons' little brother. You can't get mad at them. I mean, they're just there.
They have a better quarterback than the Falcons.
You guys got the same amount of Super Bowl wins, right?
Yeah, same amount of Super Bowl appearances.
See, I can't really see a team like the Jets investing in a quarterback like high. Like if I'm going through like teams that I think like actually could invest in a quarterback in like the first round, I'm probably looking at Tennessee. I'm probably looking at the Giants if Eli falls off, and then I'm looking at like St. Louis. And like besides that, I can't really see a team that's going to invest a first-round pick in a quarterback. That's why I think like someone like I think Mariota could like declare, and then there'll be like 3 teams in a row that like don't need a quarterback.
Well, who do you think's the best senior in this class right now for you? Like overall,
Keaton,
regardless of position.
Oh, Beasley.
See,
I
for me,
think Beasley would have been a top 6 pick for sure last year. I can't imagine Beasley not going to like Atlanta last year if he would have declared.
I'll be honest because I remember last year my top senior last year was Anthony Barr, easily in the preseason because I just saw the upside and he sort of jumped off the tape to me. I was doing reviews and like trying to get started for this year, and I actually liked Beasley more than I originally did last year because last year I had D4 ranked above him. But I was watching him this year, and I was watching everyone, and my top senior was Parker from Louisville. And I don't think that means Parker's that good. I just think that the senior class just isn't very good. Because all the underclassmen left.
From the UGA. That dude's going to knock some heads.
Yeah, actually, I was watching UGA because they got 3 really good pass rushers and edge guys, and Drew was the one who really jumped out to me.
They're all starting together this year. Ray Drew's in the defensive end. You're going to have Leonard Floyd, and you're going to have Jordan Jenkins. And they're all just going to attack. And they're all going to have some fun because, you know, their new defensive coordinator, Jeremy Pruitt, actually knows how to run a defense.
I think like a lot of people, like, I just think a lot of people want to, like, be like, okay, there's like 15 seniors drafted in like each first round, so we got to find like the 15 first rounders. Like right now, you know, I only have 4 locks in the first round at this point. I have Beasley, I have Aboyhe, I have Scherf, and I have Collins. And then like I don't know.
I think Cedric is my #1 overall senior this upcoming year.
Teams don't like Cedric.
Ben, who's yours?
Josh Norris loves Cedric, and that's what matters, okay?
Who does?
Josh Norris.
I know he does, but agents don't like him. Teams I've heard don't love him. His coaches have things to say about him.
Oh, I mean, if coaches are knocking someone, that's.
We'll see because I think a lot of people want him to succeed, but I've heard that there's an entitlement issue there, and there's a question of how willing he is to put in the work.
And then also, I was gonna bring up like, with people just trying to find like the 15 first rounders, like I feel like a lot of people are overrating some of these pass rushers, like Golden, Dupree, and Flowers. Like I don't really like Reed. I really don't like any of them. Like not to the point that I could think of like remotely think about them as first round picks. And people are just like lobbing those takes out there.
People think Cedric Reed's a first rounder.
Yeah, I've seen that mock before.
Ew.
Yeah.
Those are people who thought Jackson Jeffcoat was a first rounder. Those people are stupid.
Yeah, Cedric Reed's
Jackson Jeffcoat's in my top 100. Still, I'm still spending a 4th round pick on Jackson Jeffcoat.
He's awful.
He's an All-American.
I mean, Cedric Reed's like he's like 6'6", 260 pounds, and then plays like he's like 5'10". But I mean, I don't know. Charlie Strong could probably make him look a lot better than he is. I mean, he did that with Marcus Smith and
also surprisingly, like when I went back to watch Cameron Irving, Like, I didn't like Cameron Irving nearly as much as I did last year. Like, Cameron Irving's my 5th senior tackle right now.
I like the guards there. Like, that entire Florida State offensive line, from left guard to right tackle, should probably get drafted, 3rd to 5th round easily.
Well, who is it? Dane has Josue Matias as like his top senior or something.
Yeah, but the senior guard class isn't great.
No, I mean like top senior overall.
Yeah, that
should tell you about this class.
Yeah.
But here's
who's it? National has Trey Jackson as their top senior overall too.
He's my top interior lineman, but
like
Kawanda's better. Kawanda's better,
good, but they're not first round picks. They're like early 2 at best if they have a good year this year.
The interesting one to me is Carlos Williams, because I'm not one to take running backs in the first round. But Carlos Williams is really, really, really good.
He ain't better than Todd Gurley.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Gurley's also probably a first round pick. But Todd Williams is going to provide some value later in the draft.
And then who else is on?
Johnson.
So someone edited a video of Carlos Williams with like Marcus Dupree, and it was like really interesting. Yeah, I think I posted that a while back. Yeah, they like looked the same and stuff. I was like, all right, well, I guess I could get along with this train. But I mean, is Florida State going to platoon those backs? Because it seems like they always have like 2 or 3 backs.
They are. They've got a couple guys. They got Ryan Green. They've got Mario Pender. They've got a freshman that they just pulled in that's like a 4-star guy from Miami, Dalvin Cook, who's 6 foot, 200, fast as shit. I mean,
well, it only helps Carlos because it keeps him fresh for the pros.
Exactly. Like, it just helps his longevity.
Yeah, but it doesn't help his draft status when he's not the guy who carries the load. Which, honestly, people put too much weight on that anyway. You just want a guy who's going to be a 3rd-round pick, get 3 third-round picks at running back who can all do different things, and I think you're going to have a better core than if, I don't know, you do something stupid like take 3 first-round guys and then miss on all of them, like Mark Ingram or
pay them all like Carolina did.
Yeah, exactly. Like, these teams that have first-round running backs are just dumb.
I mean, I don't know. I can see Gurley going in the first.
I mean, who would take a running back in the first round? Though? I think that Gurley and Gordon are going to warrant themselves to be like first-round picks from a talent perspective, but I don't know what teams are spending first-round picks on them.
If Lamar Miller doesn't take over for the Dolphins, like I think he will this year, I think that Gurley could very well wind up in aqua and orange. But I believe in Miller. So.
Thomas Dimitrov does.
Yo, so someone hopped into my mentions and told me to talk about. So one, that Romo, like Dallas could be a team that could be looking for a quarterback next year, and I agree with that. I think if Dallas doesn't make it to the playoffs, I'm pretty confident that Jerry's going to blow up that team. And then and then he was like, since you're talking about 2 quarterbacks, talk about Dak Prescott. And Dak Prescott's actually good, the quarterback of Mississippi State.
He's going to be one of my
favorites to watch.
People talking about the guy at Ole Miss, the guy across the state is a lot better. Prescott is way better. And they have a big receiver this year who is really good.
The fantasy dudes
I always forget.
Tony Romo has at least 2 years for money, and Dak Prescott does a lot of stupid things on the field.
I need to remember this guy's name.
And has no vision for his throws.
I think Dallas is legitimately contemplating that if they don't make it to the playoffs this year, then Romo's out.
Well, it's the same thing. To cut him, so why cut Romo at that point? It'd just be dumb.
I don't know. This is hashtag sources type stuff. I can't explain, I've just been told.
I mean, the Cowboys do stupid shit all the time, so I guess it really wouldn't shock.
Literally all the time. Jerry Jones doesn't know that there's a salary cap yet.
And they were going to take Manziel, so it makes sense.
If Martin wasn't there, he would have taken Manziel. I'm pretty confident in that.
Jamion Lewis is the receiver's name. He's good. From Mississippi State.
You know who I like? DeMaurier Stringfellow.
And Darunya Wilson. Thank you. Or
Isn't
draft
Stringfellow
Darnell
a
Wilson.
sophomore?
Stringfellow is a sophomore, but he played at Washington last year. And I think he transferred to Ole Miss this year. But he...
Oh, yeah, I've heard that name.
So you're telling me that Bo Wallace is more talented receivers he won't throw?
Exactly.
They just got to start that like a 300-pound quarterback, right?
I'm
Miss
hoping Brian Buchanan beats him out that way.
Somebody needs to, speaking of Ole Miss, somebody needs to sell me on Laramie Tunsil.
I haven't seen I don't watch Ole Miss because they have Bo Wallace, and I really don't want to watch Bo Wallace.
He doesn't have a lot of technique just yet, but he's got everything that L. Collins has minus the technique.
All right.
Speaking of these guys from Mississippi,
good hands, good power, but just does not have any technique whatsoever. So it all looks clunky and disjointed at this point. He needs a really good offensive line coach to fix him. Like, straight up just fix him. Like an old beat-up 2000 Honda Civic with 280,000 miles on it, fix him.
I mean, he was a freshman last year.
Talk about Chris Jones. He was a freshman last year at Mississippi State. That dude was good, man. Chris Jones is going to end up being like a first-round pick. Everyone's stoked on Joey Bosa, but Chris Jones is as good as him.
Yeah, I don't think Joey Bosa is very good either.
D-lineman.
Yeah, he needs to actually earn a starting spot first.
He wasn't starting? He got enough reps.
Is he math rushers?
Defensive tackle.
I hope he's math
He's
rushers.
in math rushes. I don't know these dudes' combine numbers yet. I don't know. See, this is the thing. I don't know math rushes until my evaluations are done.
Keeping it in Mississippi, C.J. Johnson is going to be math rushers.
Yeah, that's
Is he the pass rusher? Yeah.
Yeah.
We can talk about him. I know.
Good.
What's his name? That Michigan pass rusher. He's going to be math rushers for sure. The Harvard pass rusher. He's going to be math rushers for sure. And
I'm going to be honest. I saw Zach Hodges against Brown, and he was not very good. So that's why Zach Hodges.
I like Zach Hodges a lot.
But Brown actually had a good offensive tackle, I think. Well, it wasn't like NFL good, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah, but does the Ivy League play anybody but the Ivy League?
Yeah, we play like crappy, like Stony Brook.
Oh, that's right. We played Princeton when I was at Citadel.
Speaking of
y'all see this?
Ivy League,
people entering my mentions telling me how good Chris Jones is. Chris Jones is fire. Y'all go watch Chris Jones.
Speaking of Ivy League, has anybody heard anything about Karan Reed?
Yeah.
Like Louis Reddick just like tweeted out today. It was like, "Yo, he's the name to remember" or something. Like he was watching one of their games.
Well,
he was watching them play in the preseason.
I think a lot of people were calling him like Ivy League Aaron Donald. So, I mean,
he was so close to being math rushers. Very, very, very close, but he didn't make it. Same with Clowney. Those were the two guys that I was rooting for so hard to make it, and neither of them did.
Oh yeah,
I think Clowney transcends math. I think Clowney is an imaginary number.
Clowney was still my number one prospect, even though he didn't make math rushes.
He's so good.
I like him at linebacker better than like that hybrid linebacker.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Really?
You're lying to us. You're lying to us.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't.
Last night, that should be a crime. That's bullshit. I'm sorry, but if Romeo Cornell is going to try to get cute and then make J.J. Watt 2-gap and then try to drop Jadeveon Clowney into coverage, I'm not watching the Texans.
I'm telling you, don't watch Anthony Barr then. Don't watch Anthony Barr because Anthony Barr literally pass rushed like once and dropped into coverage like 10 times.
He got a sack, didn't he?
Yeah,
he got one sack.
Rush a lot from that jack roll because that's what Cornell does. That's why Justin Houston and Tom Bahali had a lot of sacks the past couple of years.
Clowney just
from that jack.
Clowney just doesn't have very good hip fluidity, though. I mean, like, I don't think he moves well in space. I don't understand why Cornell is going to use him like that.
It doesn't matter, though.
He's gonna drop in the coverage maybe 2 times all year. He's really not using
all-world pass rusher, and we're going to drop him into coverage.
Well, since we're talking about Houston defensive linemen, has anyone seen what Louis Nix did? I haven't seen Houston. I haven't paid attention to the D-line.
He's on the PUP list.
Is he really?
Yep.
I'm just learning about I try to mute out every single preseason thing in the entire world, so I don't actually get to read anything.
This Houston defensive line is like the best three. It's like the three guys that I always had man crushes on when they were in college. Like Jared Crick was one of my favorite players. Jarrell Poe was always one of my favorite players. 340 pound. Like I thought he was going to be better than the other Poe when he was in college.
Speaking of,
Poe Allen? We talking about Poe Allen?
I'm going to give a shout out to an article I read recently. There are some really good long reads out there. There is a long read about the 4 guys from Hargrave Military Academy, that defensive line, Ale Ize, Jarrell Poe, and the 2 other guys whose names I can't remember right now, and about sort of like how they all like failed out of football. It was by, I think it was Chad Nielsen, who's a really good writer, and I'm going to tweet it out right now because it's a really good read.
It was on SB Nation, right?
Yeah, it was SB Nation.
Has anyone seen either Ashawn Robertson or Shane Ray? Because these are 2
Shane Ray is a beast.
He's awful against the run, though. He's just, every time I watched him against the run, he got destroyed. Granted, a lot of those times were against Greg Robinson, who just destroyed people in general. But even against non-Greg Robinson offensive tackles, he had a lot of issues against the run.
I mean, he struggles to anchor, but his first step is insane. And he has
in 2 years, no one's going to run anything. No one's going to run anything. You guys pay attention to non-passing downs? What's wrong with you guys?
You remember how when we did the original Kvetching Draftniks show, I was like, Justin Tuggle could be that next great linebacker if he really puts his mind to it, and he's coming this year.
Speaking of Mississippi State, guys, hold up. If we're gonna talk linebackers and Mississippi State, I can't remember what's his name. McKinney.
Bernardrick McKinney.
Man, he is good. He is like the only linebacker I want to watch this entire year. I don't care about anyone else. If you don't rush the passer, I'm not watching you.
Harriman.
McKinney, I'll watch McKinney all day.
Harriman's good.
Denzel Perriman's nasty.
Is he? I still haven't seen him.
Yeah,
I think DePriest is good from Alabama.
Yeah.
But Alabama guys always don't translate. The one guy, and I always fall in love with these cornerbacks who always get injured, and this friggin' happened with McDougal today towards ACL.
No. You're kidding me.
He tore his ACL.
That hurts. No, fuck.
He tore his ACL last year, too?
Yeah.
No, he had a shoulder.
No, he broke his. Yeah, he broke his.
Against UConn,
some weird bone in his shoulder.
But the guy who I like from Miami, Ladarius Gunter, is this cornerback who got injured last year, out for the year, but he's really good. If he's healthy, he's a day 2 pick. Same as McDougal.
Yo, so I haven't seen that dude from Miami who switched from basketball, but I listened to their offensive coordinator at like a coach's clinic. I watched it, someone uploaded it on YouTube, and it was like 3 hours, and it's literally just talking about him, just how he's gonna get this dude the ball all year. And the best thing was when he was showing clips of Miami from this past season, and he's literally just talking crap about Chantrell and Stephen Morris the entire time. It's like, Chantrell didn't go down for the cut on that one, and he's just like, we could have had a better ball from Stephen. Just every 2 plays.
Parsons would like him then. Who's Miami's starting quarterback this year anyway? I don't even know.
Dude, it's Jake Heath at this point. It's Heath because that freshman got in trouble, and then what's his name? Ryan Williams got hurt.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, so it's badly. Heath is gonna ruin this, man. Heath is gonna waste his time in Miami. He's not doing nothing. He's not even drinking no soda. He's gonna start quarterback of the Hurricanes and just waste it. Man, we gotta get Andrew to start. We gotta start a petition. Andrew Parsons. Go Hurricanes.
Does he still have eligibility?
He still has eligibility. He's graduating in I think winter or something.
Wait, how old is Parsons?
He's a senior.
Parsons is a year older than me. I think Parsons is 21.
Holy crap.
Parsons is 21.
I feel so old, man. I turned 26 in September.
I turned 21 in November, and it's so great that we're going to lose to Stanford in November. So
I think it's just me and Ethan who can legally drink at this point. Maybe Zach.
Yeah, I'm 22. Come on.
Okay.
Why do you think I'm waiting to go to Mobile until this year?
Well, I'll be in Mobile.
Mobile's happening this year. I'm going to Mobile for sure.
I'm going to Mobile, and then if the draft isn't away.
without taking any vacation days. So I'm gonna do it that way.
What will be happening?
I think they said the draft's probably gonna be in LA. So if the draft's in LA, I'm probably just gonna go kick it with Stoner for a week, and then yeah, I'll be in Mobile too.
I miss him
Free
already.
Free Stoner.
He freed himself. He broke the cycle.
He freed himself. He's still in the group chats though. Can escape Twitter. Can't escape the group chats.
I'm not in these group chats.
Man, so like
Mecha chats.
They're in like Google Hangouts or text. Like I'm in like 5 group chats, so like my phone doesn't go off. Like my phone doesn't stop. Ben knows about these group chats.
You're talking about GroupMe?
What?
You're talking about GroupMe? Like you make like a phone number and you add people to it and you just like text it and it sends it to everyone on that number?
No, just like messages. Like you could do it on like I don't know. I do it on my iPhone and then
just add all your just add multiple contacts.
Yeah. The best thing was we had the Mecha chat and Josh Norris full on was like, "Yo, I'm gonna go on vacation," and just like dipped out of the group chat and just like never come back. We're too Mecha for him, man. We're too Mecha for him.
Mecha Twitter account's rough.
Man, I deleted that off of my phone.
Fun fact, I tried to save that, now I've just given up.
No. I deleted the account off of my phone. I think
Still there.
In retaliation, Mecha stopped following me on Twitter.
Oh, it's still on my phone, but it's past being saved.
It's done.
Although it's getting better. It was better this week. I think Parsons or just sort of took over it. Or someone took over it.
Someone left Twitter, and now the Mecha chat, and now the Mecha account's got better. I don't know about that. Do we want to talk about any more draft stuff? I think I'm going to dip out at like 8.
Which other rookies suck? That's what I want to hear.
Which one? I mean, Hagman didn't play very good.
But, like, which ones have, like, there's been awful in practice? Actually, speaking of the Dolphins, I heard that Akins got switched to safety.
Yeah, he has been seeing a lot of work at safety, and, I mean, he's played there before in the past, and he's looked good with everything that he's been asked to do. He's listed above Davis on the depth chart right now. So, and, I mean, if he somehow started at safety, that would be pretty crazy. I mean, with Rashad Jones out for these first 4 games, I'm not really sure what's going to happen.
Another guy who I watched some of the Cleveland game yesterday. Desir did not look very good to me, and I'd say Kirksey looked better in coverage on Ebron than Desir did against whoever he was covering. And speaking of another guy who also, like, not a rookie but didn't impress me, I think Charles Johnson looks slow.
Oh yeah. He wasn't impressive. But I'm trying not to focus too much on Cleveland because they're the Browns. And
God loves Cleveland, though.
Has anybody really seen Joel Bitonio yet?
He was kicking ass yesterday.
Yeah. They put him in, like, the perfect spot to succeed, too. You got
What was he playing?
Alex
What has he been playing for them?
He's going to succeed.
He's playing left guard.
And I thought they were going to put him at right tackle and have Schwartz slide into guard, but they like having Greco at right guard and Schwartz at right tackle. So,
I mean, I've always said I thought Antonio could play very well at tackle, but I mean, he's a very good guard. So
I had him as a 5-spot guy. Like he could play anywhere and look good.
Yeah. Definitely.
So
he's not going to be great, but he's going to be good. Like a 10-year starter who fringe Pro Bowl every year. But
so
the guy who impressed me there was Kirksey. Kirksey, every time I watch him, but he was awesome on Ebron. Dude can cover, and I think he's going to end up being one of the best linebackers from this class.
How'd Kiki look?
I didn't see Kiki.
Kiki had like one really good sack, if I remember correctly.
So now that we've kind of started to see guys in preseason action, who do we think had the best off seasons and the worst off seasons when it comes down to it? I still have to say that Cincinnati was by far the worst out of everybody, and they just had to cap it off with that massive deal to Andy Dalton. to just like permanently ruin Cincinnati fans' chances.
Atlanta has depth now. That's kind of weird to see.
And got paid.
I don't know. Like people make a big deal out of that contract, but it's basically a pay as you. It's really similar to the Kaepernick contract, and at this point, Andy Dalton is no worse than Colin Kaepernick. They're almost at the same level, and I think that just as Kaepernick has a lot of work to do, I think that Dalton has some work to do, and if he can nail down that consistency that he had, like if he can play at his high level for like at a consistent level, if he can like at least play at like his 90% or maybe even his 85%, I mean that's like a very, very good team, and that's a very, very good quarter. I mean his ceiling is like a top 12 quarterback, and you can win a Super Bowl with a top 12 quarterback. I mean look at the Ravens. So and this idea of potentially throwing out a decent quarterback in hopes of like putting all your stocks in like an unproven commodity in a draft pick. I mean, it's dangerous, and some teams are willing to take that risk, and some people aren't. And I really don't. I think people make Andy Dalton seem a lot worse than he actually is. And he's not like very good, but he's no. I mean, people think Colin Kaepernick is the second coming. I think that Andy Dalton and Colin Kaepernick are on pretty similar levels. I mean, they're different quarterbacks, but in terms of like where they are in the league, I think they're different. I mean, I thought the numbers were stupid when they first came out, and I was like, I don't know what the Bengals are doing, but once you find out that it's basically a pay-as-you-go contract, it makes a lot of sense. Now they get to pay AJ Green a lot of money, and it's going to be a lot of guaranteed money, too.
Yeah, I mean, and Eifert is also really good, supposedly.
What?
Eifert has also supposedly looked phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, I just question his ball placement and have not really seen. It's just been so inconsistent.
Yeah, I agree with that, but like again, I think that like Andy Dalton at his his 90% is still one of like the better quarterbacks in the league. I mean, you saw. I mean, his game against the Jets was unreal. I mean, he put the ball all over the field, and I mean, his placement during that game was perfect. So, he's a guy that can do something like that. And what you're waiting for is like where he turns it on at the right time, where he pulls a Joe Flacco and turns it on at the right time, and the Bengals win a Super Bowl that way. But I think the best offseason would probably have to go to the Bears. I think they've done a fantastic job of rebuilding that defense. Adding Kyle Fuller, adding Will Sutton, Hugo Ferguson, Lamar Houston's going to be huge for them this year. Jared Allen is probably. I mean, he's going to contribute. Willie Young's going to contribute. I still question those linebackers, but they've really, really made their defensive line a lot better. And they've added youth to their secondary. I think they're going to be a big contender this year. I think they could win 12 games.
I'll say in the division, I think the Vikings had a really good offseason.
I agree with that.
They have a really good young core. It depends on Teddy because we haven't really talked about how he looked in the first preseason game. I know when I was asked to I know Ben also was asked to look at his video by Arif to sort of give some observations about sort of how he was carrying himself, and I saw some things that kind of scared me a little bit about us holding the ball lower than he was in college, which it's not exactly ideal. And then against in the preseason game, I mean it was pretty blah, but it's preseason. But I think that if he grows into who I think he could be, he could end up being really good. I think worse offseason, I just don't like what the Bills did. I think that they're going to be in trouble moving forward because they picked the wrong quarterback last year. And Sammy Watkins is a really good talent. We'll see how he does this year. I feel like he's sort of wasted there, to be honest, though.
To be fair, Sammy Watkins is used to dealing with bad quarterbacks.
That is true.
College boy wasn't exactly great.
That is very true. But I'm skeptical. And they don't have any linebackers who can cover now that Kiko's injured.
Sammy Watkins is a just chuck it up there, dog, I'll go get it kind of receiver. And Manuel can just chuck it up there. So sometimes it's all you need.
Their draft is really weird. I thought they got good players, but like Quanjo looked bad in preseason. There's serious concerns with Quanjo.
He needs to move inside.
His just overall ability. Like Watkins is very talented, but they gave up basically 2 top 10 picks for Watkins when they don't really have a quarterback. Chantrell was probably their best pick, and he has his character issues. And then they lost Mike Pettin, and they badly downgraded in terms of their defensive coordinator. And going from Mike Pettin to Jim Schwartz is a huge drop off. I think Jim Schwartz is terrible. And then they lost Kiko. They lost Jarius Byrd. They still have a lot of talent on that team. Their defensive line depth is really good. Marcel Darius, Kyle Williams, Mario Williams, Jerry Hughes. Those guys are all really talented. And they have Mike Williams, Robert Woods, Sammy Watkins, CJ Spiller. So there's talent on that team, but just the drop off on for their defensive coordinator, losing Kiko and Jarius Byrd, and then having EJ Manuel as a quarterback. They could be picking in the top 5 without actually having a first-round pick next year.
And they really need to move Quanjo to left guard because Chris Williams looked awful, and have Cyril Richardson play right guard. If they did that,
they'd have Sean Clark playing right tackle, and then they have an offensive line full of 6'5", 330-pound monsters.
Do we know what happened to Cordy?
To who?
That's sick.
We'll be back by the first game.
Okay.
It's not like a season ender. It's I think he sprained his ankle first day of camp. Yeah, they got him back yesterday. Yeah, he failed his physical because he had a sprained ankle.
Okay.
Which, when you're fat like that, it happens. But that line's going to be nasty because Glenn's 335. You move Henderson to right tackle. Or, sorry, 345. Henderson to right tackle, have 330 right there. Put Quanjo at the guard spot, 330. Yeah, that entire line would be 6'5", 330 outside of Eric Wood, who's 315.
People don't. I think the Saints also had a pretty good offseason. I don't know how they got Jarius Byrd. They basically backload all their contracts because their cap space right now is a mess. But they got Jarius Byrd, so now they have a safety tandem of Jarius Byrd and Kenny Vaccaro. They signed Champ Bailey, who was actually playing well before his injury. They already have Keenan Lewis, who's good. They drafted Stanley Jean-Baptiste, who I think is very good. They drafted Brandon Cooks. I think they're going to be they're a serious Super Bowl contender this year. I think they can be very, very good, and that defense is going to be great. This is the most talented defense that Rob Ryan has ever had, and I think that they're going to be a really good team this year.
That's a good call.
I agree. I think that I think I might have to go with the Ravens. Mosley, Jernigan, and Brooks was just an amazing way to start the draft. And, then adding Will Hill, too, who, if he manages to stay on the field for them, is, in my opinion, probably a top 10 safety. Their defense is going to be really, really good next year.
So Justice came back.
Yeah, I'm alive. I went to go take a dump, and then I came back, and I'm like, I wonder if they're still on. Yeah.
We've been talking best and worst off seasons. Do you have any opinions?
I didn't really like what the Giants did. But I'm kind of changing my tone a little bit about that. I think what Tennessee did, I really think Tennessee needs an edge rusher, and they just completely avoided it. They basically drafted a third tackle with their first round pick. It's going to help them in the future. But for a team that's transitioning offenses, transitioning defenses, Huh?
He's starting at right tackle.
No, he's playing left tackle. They just played Green Bay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a second string left tackle.
Yeah. Well, Roos is in the last year of his contract.
Yeah.
So.
So, it's gonna help in the future, but I mean, it's still a team that's transitioning to a 3-4. They needed an edge rusher. I mean,
they wanted Barr.
I just have a lot of issues with that team. I
They
can see that
wanted
team being.
Barr, and they didn't get him.
Yeah.
He was their guy.
Well, it's the same thing with Dallas too, right? Like Dallas really wanted Barr too, but they're like, we're not gonna trade up for him. It's like, well, Barr's not gonna fall to you, so like that was never gonna happen. So. Yeah, I don't know. My favorite idea for Tennessee would have been like I think they picked right before Pittsburgh or something, like a couple picks before Pittsburgh, and my idea was like flip with San Francisco. San Francisco gets Odell Beckham Jr. and then you pick a Taucho at the back end of the first round. That would have been my ideal situation if I was Tennessee, but it's not how it played out.
How has Taucho looked? I haven't heard anything about him.
People say he looked okay. I know, what's his name? Crap. There's a bunch of Chargers dudes who post, like, vines and stuff during games. And
Posey?
Huh?
No, not Posey. Shit, what's his name?
Apparently, Atlanta had tried trading with San Diego in the second round to get a Tauchu at that spot.
The guy who's a Fresno State fan.
Because they didn't want South.
Daniel Stebbins.
Yeah, Stebbins. Yeah, he's the one who.
It was Stebbins who's posted it. Yeah, he posted it.
I've heard that Tauchu's been really good in pass rushing situations and that he's struggled against the run thus far.
Surprise!
Yeah, no.
Meanwhile, D4, I heard, is killing it in Kansas City.
D Ford has his burst, but like D Ford is like just super willing to take these wide angles. I watched him and he was just like, "Oh, you want to like ride me out all the way to outside? Okay, I'll take that." So like as long as like a tackle doesn't mess up, like he's gonna be an opportunist until he like either learns a spin move or just gets enough power that he can just like push.
He's got Poe next to him though. He's good to go.
Yeah, but he's not even on the starting team. He's on second string because Houston and Hollier are the starting outside linebackers.
Yeah, that was the weirdness of the pick, just because I felt like, does this mean they're just gonna try to get rid of Holly at some point, or probably?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of how it's gonna end up. Because I think they're just like, yo, we're going to give Alex money, we're going to give Charles money. Like, there's just not going to be enough to go around for everyone.
I mean, I also kind of endorse the mantra that you can never have too many pass rushers, so.
Yeah.
And Green Bay has a lot of pass rushers that are, like, going to be overpaid real soon. Like, Matthews is hurt, or, like, he's not hurt right now, but he always gets hurt. He's never finished out a season. Peppers is, like, aging, and they pretty much gave him, like, a huge contract with, like, 2 years with, like, 2 options. I mean, Perry looks okay. Like, Perry did actually really well against the run in the preseason game, which kind of surprised me. And they're starting to flip Matthews and flip Peppers from left and right side. And the thing was, Perry could always get from the right side, but they wouldn't. I mean, they just paid Matthews, so they weren't going to move him out to left backer. But now with Peppers, they're like at least willing to entertain it. I mean, they have Bradford, who they're trying out at outside linebacker first. Nate Palmer is going to be like, he's just like a super athlete at this point, but they're trying to get him to play outside linebacker. They still have not Perry, they have Mike Neal out there playing strong side. So I mean, they have a bunch of pass rushers, not even including like Daytona on the line, Mike Daniels on the line. Kyrie Thornton is actually doing really well. So I mean, they have a bunch of
today that Green Bay isn't very high Nick Perry internally at being on the field.
Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't surprise. Who was it? Pauline last year was talking about how they were thinking about moving Perry inside to like inside backer. I was like, what? Yeah.
Pauline said something silly today. I have to find it. And it was a silly. Oh, he said that Amir Abdullah is being overrated by NFL scouts because he's short.
Who? I think it's Parsons and Dane said that he looks like Warwick Dunn.
He's my third running back. I like that comparison a lot. He's my third running back after Carlos and David Cobb.
Yo, no Melvin Gordon.
That is the comparison. That's what I'm
not a senior.
Oh, okay, not seniors. Okay, like Melvin Gordon can have my babies, Doug. I'll let him be baby daddy.
I think the underclassman no one's talking about who I really like is Duke Johnson. Because every time I watch Duke Johnson, I'm just sort of...
That's because he tore his ACL last year.
Yeah.
No, he didn't. He broke his ankle.
Oh, sorry.
He should come back and be fine, honestly. I definitely expect him to be the same caliber that he was last year. If anything, he saved himself some mileage.
I'm not a fan of running backs coming off of injury.
Melvin's good. Though.
I mean, but breaking your ankle is much different than tearing like an ACL or just like
and was it like a
SCL
joint
or
thing?
PCL.
I mean, was it a joint thing?
He broke his ankle.
Okay.
Running back to watch out for right now is Jalen Hurd at Tennessee in the pure college football, because that guy could be the next Todd Gurley, Steven Jackson style guy.
Man, me and Ben just got a free Tyner, man. We just got a free Tyner.
What?
We got a free Thomas Tyner out in Oregon, man. He's the best running back on Oregon's team right now, and they're just giving him second team
They
reps.
just give the ball to Byron Marshall, who's
The other running back.
Dude, it's gonna Barry Sanders is here, guys. He's gonna get.
Yeah,
free.
Barry Sanders Jr. He's looking good in camp. I saw his spring game and stuff.
You know who might be the best overall senior right now that no one's talking about?
Rick Beasley? Oh.
Is mine and Ethan's boy from Colorado State.
He's not that good.
Wait, we're talking
Cartwright?
about Cartwright?
Kevon Cartwright. Might be a first rounder when all said and done at tight end.
Yeah.
Kevon Cartwright is going to run 4.5 or less at the combine.
He's going to weigh about 260 pounds and look maybe 220.
He's going to score a lot of touchdowns this year because he led all tight ends in touchdowns last year, so he'll do it again. And he's a good story. He actually has a stutter, and interesting guy. He has totally overcome his stutter, which is kind of cool. He's a good guy.
Another guy to look out for is Wes Saxton. Wes Saxton out of South Alabama. He's legitimately good. He's going to be at least a day 2 pick, I think.
Let's see him go to the Senior Bowl at his home stadium.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, we got a free Brandon Bridge, too. I thought Brandon Bridge was going to blow up last year. I still really like him, man. Air Canada. We need a free Air Canada.
South Alabama could be good if they just magically learn how to play as a team. Because there is some talent.
They play super hard. They play like Mississippi State or something this year, right?
They play pretty
some. Yeah, I was gonna say that. I mean, they're doing good for their level, but I think they placed a couple teams that it's there's no way they're gonna beat them. But yeah, they could win. They could. Are they still? Yeah, they're in the Sun Belt.
One other random thought.
But that's being the. Never mind. I'm not gonna say that. That's fucked up.
One other random thought that I had when going through this class: this senior defensive tackle class is terrible. They're all bad. I don't think any of them are
Mississippi State
that good.
Defensive tackle?
Yeah.
I mean, is it worse than last year? I mean, last year,
yeah, it
outside
is.
Outside of
Higman, we had
Donald.
We had Donald.
That was it.
We had Dom Easley.
Okay, that's fair.
Who can match them in this group? Carl Davis?
No, but I like the big three. I like the big three.
Bennett.
I think day 2 picks.
I think Bennett was
Ohio State
when I watched him. I wasn't that impressed.
Really?
He got held up on a lot of drops. I mean, a lot of snaps, which was my mind.
Yo, me and Ben are going to talk about EFO, also known as Brandon Flowers, out in Oregon.
Come on, man. Don't insult the man like that.
I think Ben's been waiting for an hour to talk about EFO.
And I'm not saying don't insult EFO. I'm saying don't insult Brandon Flowers. I'm saying don't insult EFO like that. He's way better than Brandon Flowers.
When Brandon Flowers at his peak?
Way better. Way better.
I'm not sure if I agree.
Athlete.
Marcus Peters is better than EFO.
Yo, Justice, chill.
I'm not a Flowers fan though.
All right, fair enough. I still don't think EFO is gonna go in the first half of the first round. It's just impossible for a corner that small to go.
Teams are stupid, and they don't want a 5'9" corner.
Ted Thompson won't even look at him. Ted Thompson's you can show right past the bar, dog. I ain't looking at you.
The Eagles are going to be the same way. They're not going to give him it's Chip, and he's probably going to take him off his board because he's 5'9".
Yeah, Chip is the one who's yo, I'm not going to look at a defensive lineman unless he's at least 6'5".
Didn't Chip recruit him?
No.
Yeah.
Didn't Aliotti recruit him?
Oh, well, it was still when Chip was there. That's what I meant.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Atlanta drafted 5'9", 5'10" corners. If they decide that Alfred's not working out, I could see them take Ifo.
San Diego draft Ifo, get Ifo, Verrett, and Flowers.
Oh man, I'd become a San Diego fan. I'd have my favorite corners.
With Weddle playing deep, draft Deron Smith to complement Weddle, even though they're the same player.
If neither Will Davis nor
Deron
Jamar
Smith isn't that
Taylor
good.
can
Hold up.
Wait.
We gotta chill.
Oh.
We gotta chill this Deron Smith thing.
All right.
He's not that
You know
good.
who'd be a dark horse for that? Is
He's no Jimmy. He's no Jimmy Ward. He's no
Here's the
Jimmy
thing
Ward.
with Deron Smith. I don't think he's used very well at Fresno State because they ask him to play way too far up all the time, so he gives up some plays because guys get behind him because his responsibilities are to stay up. But he got that sideline-to-sideline speed thing going on, and he can play single high. I think he can come into the box as well. He's the top safety I've looked at this year for seniors. I like him. He reminds me of Weddle. Thank you, Ben, for telling me about him, because I think Ben was the first person to tell me about him.
My favorite safety right now in this class, I mean, everyone's kind of geeking. I just completely forgot the kid's name from Alabama. But
Collins.
whatever. I don't think. What?
Landon
Landon
Collins.
Collins.
Yeah, I think Collins is like severely overrated right now. I'm seeing like.
They moved him to corner because Alabama coaches are dumb.
Alabama's corners always suck, too.
Because they play safeties at corner and they play corners at safety. Or no, they play linebackers at safety, really.
Hey,
And
we got
it's the SEC, so they don't
Watch
really
yourself.
worry about passing because they run the ball all the damn time. So they're always up by like 8 touchdowns because they put big old 6'3", 240-pound guys running the ball.
Well, the thing is, Alabama runs that rip list thing. So it's like, yo, we're going to have one safety in the box. We don't know which one it's going to be based on how the offense lines up. So they both have to kind of like play down.
Well, I mean, I like Landon Collins, and I kind of view him as like he's kind of like Matt Elam to me. But I think that I mean, I've seen some ridiculous comparisons out there. I mean, I've seen like best safety prospects since Earl Thomas type of stuff.
I know, like, the most annoying thing is going to be people, they're just going to mock him to wherever they think the Redskins are going. Like, I've seen him mocked to the Redskins in, like, every single mock I've ever seen for this year.
I think the Redskins should go IFO, though. They need a starting corner who's actually good, and D'Angelo Hall's not it.
I still think the best safety, who no one's talking about right now, is a kid from UConn named Obi Melifonwu.
Shaq Thompson? Shaq Thompson's the best safety in the
linebacker.
Shaq Thompson's a weak side linebacker, 6'2" and 235 pounds.
And I'm moving him to safety.
Hey,
Moving Calvin Benjamin to tight end.
Come on,
Can't tell
man.
me
Let's
about
be
it.
honest here.
I think that Josh Shaw from USC, I mean, he played corner and safety the last 2 years, but I think he could be a really good free or strong safety in the NFL.
Shaq Thompson's more Levante David than anybody else.
I
Can we
think
talk about-
Byron Jones, also from UConn, would be better at safety, but a lot teams seem to love him at corner. And I think that the guy from Auburn, Therezy, is underrated as a safety, too.
Can we talk about Curtis Drummond, the reason why everybody thought Darqueze Denard was good last year?
I like
Oh,
Drummond, too, but
Drummond a lot.
there's
can't wait till
something
he beats
weird
Sean
about his
Healy.
game. There's something weird about Drummond's game that I can't put my finger on, but he looks slower than he probably actually is to me.
Yeah, I don't think he's very fast, but he's very, very smart.
Yeah, exactly. He sees the field really well and just, like, rarely takes a false step. And, I mean, like, his reads are, like, almost always accurate.
Right.
How about good old...
Y'all want to play a game? Y'all want to play a game?
Sure.
Guess Nationals top safeties
Oof.
for the senior class.
Is there an FCS
the
guy
kid
there?
from Fresno State.
There's a kid from Stanford.
No. The top guy is from the SEC.
Is it Therezy?
Collins.
Not Therzy.
Why do I have a
Are
feeling...
these seniors or everybody?
Corey
These are just seniors. They only scout seniors.
Corey Moore from Georgia.
It's Ronald Martin from LSU.
Oh, gross.
Oh my
And then
god.
Jermaine Whitehead from Auburn and Tremaine Bondurant from Arizona, who just got kicked out of school. Or got kicked off the team.
How about
People looking
Derek
at the wrong
Moncrief from Auburn who's better.
I like Therezy. I think he's
too.
Therezy's not really a safety. He plays what South Carolina calls a spur, what Auburn calls the star. It's like a nickel linebacker safety hybrid. It's just like, hey, we don't know what formation we're running, so whatever they show on offense, match up.
National has A.J. Johnson ranked ahead of Vic Beasley.
Okay, A.J. Johnson's a hell of a football player.
A.J. Johnson.
Whoa, relax. A.J. Johnson sucks. He sucks.
A.J. Johnson is a hell of a football player.
I guess you really like the homie out of UConn though too, right?
Who?
The linebacker. I'm talking about Scott. Scott really liked the linebacker of UConn.
Well, I like Yawin a lot, but Yawin could actually like see the field and like diagnose plays. Johnson just kind of runs around.
Yeah, I like Yawin more, but even then I didn't have Yawin in my. I don't think I had him in my top 100.
Now, I don't think A.J. Johnson's like a first-round pick or anything, because he's that classic like Curtis Lofton, thumping style middle linebacker, that Jeremiah Trotter style guy.
Okay, let's relax before we compare A.J. Johnson to Jeremiah Trotter.
Okay, Jeremiah Trotter couldn't cover.
I watched A.J. Johnson run. He overran almost every single play. He's bad. I wouldn't even call him a prospect. He's like kind of.
I think Andrew and Eric gave him undrafted grades coming into last year.
Coaching. That's what you need. Some people need it. Some people don't get it in college.
It's not like he's even like that good of an athlete. So what are you really coaching? I mean, you're just kind of like, okay, you're kind of slow but you're like big-ish. So like see the field a little bit better.
He's like, you're large. It's like Marcel Jensen. He's like Marcel Jensen in linebacker form, man.
Yeah, Marcel Jensen's good.
Marcel Jensen was bad. Nah, I gotta leave.
We've had this conversation. I think
all the young cats love Marcel Jensen. And I just remember him stinking it up at the Senior Bowl and then like getting hurt.
Yeah, I remember. I heard Pete Smith told me that like they were doing a drill and then Pierre Desir basically jammed Marcel Jensen into the ground.
Yeah, him, and then man, I forget his name already. The linebacker out of Michigan State. That was the other guy I didn't like.
Bullock.
Yeah.
Max
awful.
Yeah, he's not very good either.
The best thing was Dane tweeting out that he looked like he was in his like second trimester or whatever when he showed up at the Senior Bowl weigh-ins.
Well, that's gotta be hard.
I'm excited to see Everett Golston come back.
Yeah.
Speaking of senior quarterbacks.
I keep on forgetting about him.
I saw some video where he was working out with Whitfield, and he was ripping it, man. He was ripping those balls.
I mean, if you want a guy who's going to have some upward mobility and potential, that's going to be him.
There's going to be a lot of mediocre quarterbacks hyped up this year, aren't there?
I mean, people talk about Taylor Kelly as a draftable quarterback, so I think we're here already.
There are two guys who I really like in like the lower conferences, but they're a little short. But I like Matt Johnson from Bowling Green and P.J. Tucker from Temple. That's two.
I know Albright likes the Bowling Green cat too.
He looked good when I covered him during their bowl game.
Yeah, I remember that. That's when you started liking him.
He was high on my third down conversion percentage ranking, which I will be bringing back this year, which is going to be exciting. But yeah, he's good under pressure.
And I think Bowling Green's got Jeremy Gallen's little brother playing for him.
He's injured. He's out for the year.
Damn.
Yeah. Sorry. He was Pauline's like top receiver or whatever.
Now it's Gehrig Dieter's turn, or Dieter Gehrig or whatever his name is. Dieter Gehrig, German dude. He's good. From what I remember.
Gehrig Dieter. Well,
Derek
the Falcons signed a Dutch guy. I didn't realize
Baldwin. That's one of Matt Waldman's favorites. I liked him too.
I met him in Charleston. He was just a really nice guy, and I didn't realize that who he was until when I saw him play the game. It's like, this guy's pretty good. And then I saw Atlanta sign, and I'm like, he might actually make the roster because he's very, like, he's Finneran.
He had a really bad drop, from what I remember, right?
He's Black Finneran.
Scott and Zach, y'all are from the South. Is Hudson Mason legitimate? Because he's top 5 on NFL DS right now.
No, not at all. His pocket presence is absolutely horrible. Just watch him against Georgia Tech, man. That guy had no idea what was going on around him.
Dude, the senior class is so bad. So I'm going to read off the top 10 quarterbacks. The top 10 quarterbacks on NFL DS for the senior class. It's Petty, Mannion, Miller, Keaton. All right, I can see that. And then we have Mason, Bennett, Kelly, Wallace, Carradine, and then Grayson.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't understand why people like Mason. His arm is just okay. He doesn't really do anything special. I mean, like, I don't get the infatuation. He's a big-bodied guy. That's about it.
What do you guys think about Connor Cook? I mean, there's lots of opinions there.
No.
Better than the guy he replaced, but that's not saying much. Garbage.
He made some of the stupidest throws I think I've ever seen against Stanford and still somehow won that game. Just throws into double coverage, dropped interceptions straight to safeties. Like, he didn't care, just throwing the ball all over the field.
I think the guy on this list from NFL Draft Scout that'll move up is Cole Stout, out of any of them.
He's not. Is he even starting, right?
No, he's starting, but Dabo was like, yo, like, we're going to play both quarterbacks at some point.
Yeah, because Dabo is an idiot when it comes to offense. He had one quarterback he liked when he was there, and Deshaun Watson was like a 4 or 5 star prospect.
Yeah.
So they're gonna give him a lot of, like, they're gonna.
I've watched him. Like, Watson's good. Watson's got some tools and stuff.
That's why they want to play him though, is because he's got a lot of tools. He was a 4-star guy. Yeah, like, he's got a lot of tools. He's a really good player. They're not gonna just not play him.
What do you guys think about Nick Marshall? Like, I'm not even sure Nick Marshall's the top quarterback on his team. That Josh, what's his name? Josh Johnson? Yeah, he's like legitimate. Oh, Jeremy Johnson. Yeah, it's not Josh Johnson. Yeah, Jeremy Johnson. I watched him for a while and was like, this guy is probably better than Nick Marshall.
But the thing also is that in Malzahn's offense, any quarterback can put up huge numbers. And they got Sammy Coates, who's a beast. So
he's on the Feldman's freak list. He's like number 1 on it.
One of my sleepers on quarterback, who I think could be a sleeper Heisman candidate this year if he gets enough volume, Taylor Heineke from Old Dominion, moving up from FCS, set records last year.
That's the guy everyone says is like Johnny Football.
He's good. I know Matt Harmon likes him. We were talking about him.
I wish I cared about Old Dominion. There's like no saving grace for some of these guys. Like, I understand there's like talent there. There's talent on every team, but when you're playing mainly D1, 1A guys, it's tough to judge against, oh, hey, well, this guy's going to play against NFL level talent. Like, I loved Billy Turner last year, but he played at North Dakota State, and they kicked the crap out of some D1A talent. They kicked the crap out of Kansas State.
Yeah, I think Billy Turner had like 15 pancakes or something against Kansas State.
Yeah.
Like, that was against Miller, right? And I kind of like Miller.
Yeah, he destroyed whoever he went against in Kansas State. And you're just like, okay, well, yeah, this guy's pretty damn good.
All right, I'm going to just throw out some names. You guys give me some hot takes. Kessler. Go. Kessler. No one has hot takes on Kessler?
I liked what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's something there, but I'm a little skeptical of USC quarterbacks in general.
He's gonna be like a fishing guy. Like, he's gonna be someone who's like fits West Coast only.
So it's gonna be like Fails, except maybe slightly better.
There's your hot take.
I don't know if he's as good as Fails, but he's not gonna have the off-field stuff Fails did.
I will say the best wide receiver at USC it's not Aguilar, it's Darius Rogers.
The best quarterback at USC isn't Cody Kessler, it's Max Brown.
It's Max Brown. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But I like Darius Rogers.
What about Trevor Knight?
Do you start T. Martin if you have Peyton Manning on your team? That's kind of the idea between Cody Kessler and Max Brown.
Yeah, fair enough. What do you guys think about
Trevor
Trevor Knight? Yeah.
I haven't actually watched enough of him to like get a read, so I can't really speak to it.
He was pretty bad, but that Sugar Bowl game was so good.
It was amazing. Yeah. Like as a first impression, like it's the way you want to grab.
Well, that's how Kessler was, man. Like Kessler was terrible against like Hawaii. He just started picking it up at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Let me think. Matty Mock.
I mean, Max Brown came off his red shirt at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I want to see how Matty Mock does this year without DGB, because DGB was carrying him for a lot of last year.
To be fair,
when you're a
freshman, it doesn't help. Or it doesn't hurt to have a guy like him.
Bigger question, though, how about Davis Webb from Texas Tech?
Every time I saw Tech, they had a different quarterback, so I'm not really sure which one I was watching.
Davis Webb was the tall one, and he was pretty good when I watched him.
Was he the walk-on? No, the walk-on's at Oklahoma, right?
Brett Hundley.
What about Brett Hundley?
Going to be overrated by the time the season ends.
Man, if Brett Hundley would have declared, he would have gotten drafted by Minnesota.
Yeah, it was going to happen.
Yeah.
There was a good chance that was going to happen, but I mean, the thing with Brett Hundley is that his upside is out through the roof, and I'm probably like rooting for him more than anyone because I think that he's a really smart guy, but he needs to stop listening to draft Twitter and make his own decisions. Because that dude is easily persuaded by people around him, and that's not what you want.
Is he? Isn't he like the leader? He's like the leader of like the Players Association of like college sports.
But there was a lot of buzz that he was leaning toward coming out because he was reading Twitter and buying into his own hype. And then he didn't come out.
I'm pretty sure he and Devin Gardner blocked me. He and Devin Gardner blocked me when I was doing like breakdowns of the games. I'm pretty sure.
Well, then somebody told him to block you, or someone blocked him for you because. The sleeper though is Jacob Coker from Bama.
From Bama. Everyone says he's good and he looks like a quarterback, but I've never actually seen him throw a football. So
I saw him play against Nevada on Florida State because they took Jameis out for the second half, and he looked like a scrambling quarterback to me. But if he's 6'5", 230 and has a reasonable arm, he's someone I'm definitely going to watch this year because he has Amari, he's got Christian Jones, he's got some weapons there.
I covered Florida State this past year. I covered like 8 of their games because I was a college football guy for Bleacher Report, and every game they were up by like 80 points. So they'd put him in about halftime, and I'd see probably a quarter or two. If he was on a team that let him start, he's probably the best quarterback that Nick Saban's had in his entire career. Which, one, doesn't say a lot about Saban's ability to recruit quarterbacks, but 2, it says a lot about Coker, because he's still better than like Matt Flynn, and he's way better than McCarron. McCarron's a fucking joke.
McCarron, Murray, and Boyd, none of them got a snap. Or like Murray got snaps, but his snaps were to kneel down the ball in their first preseason games, and everyone else got a snap, I think.
Well, he's a fourth-string quarterback for the Jets.
He's their fourth, because Matt Sims is still getting snaps, dog.
Yep, he's fourth.
You're not getting snaps.
Boyd didn't even play in the preseason.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Boyd didn't get a play, McCarron didn't play, but I think McCarron was hurt.
Matthews didn't get a play in Atlanta.
Here's a QB I want to hear some hot takes about. David Ash.
Man, who's watching Texas football? I watch Texas football.
I watch Texas football.
I'm sorry. You need better life decisions.
He has moments. I play DFS college football, so I watch way too much Texas football for my own good. And he surprised me a little bit. He has some skills. And Jackson Shipley is good too. And so is Dage.
Matt
Jackson Shipley is great.
So is Dage Johnson. I like him too. But he's suspended now, I think.
Jackson Shipley is like Jordan Sazonbacher. He's going to be a preseason stud, but see like no time during the year.
All right, who's a player who you just think sucks? Like you just watch them once and you're just like they're awful.
AJ Johnson.
You both just say A.J. Johnson at the same time?
Because I like A.J. Johnson, so they're like, he sucks.
Let me think. Dude, Taylor Kelly is probably the worst player I've seen this year. I'm mad at myself that I charted like 8 of his games. Like
That's
I could have
Connor
been doing
Cook.
better things in my life.
Connor Cook is bad. Shalik Calhoun.
Man, you gotta talk to Josh Norris. Josh Norris thinks he's like the 3rd best quarterback in college football right now, behind Jameis and Mariota.
Yeah. I don't like a lot of those Michigan State guys. I like Drummond. I think Shalik Calhoun is pretty bad too. Because we watched him for group film study against Pete, and basically
Gregory
might be
isn't
slightly
as good as people
overrated.
say either.
Who?
Randy Gregory, the kid out of Nebraska.
He's I actually saw a little bit of it of why the people are so in love with him, but I agree with you. I don't think he's that great. Kenny Bell, not good either.
I'm trying to think. There's an offensive lineman that has been. I'm just trying to think. It's a guard. I keep seeing people hype him up, and I'm like, this guy is just bad.
Is it the kid out of Baylor?
Yes.
I haven't seen him. Yeah, people like talking about him, but I haven't seen him yet.
That's another one.
What is it?
Oakman's a god. You gotta watch yourself.
Oh, dude, Oakman's a joke. Oakman's awful. Jamal Palmer is better than Oakman.
No, man.
Oakman's
gonna
by far. Jamal Palmer.
Now one pass is gonna get past those arms. Yo, I have to leave, but I'm gonna give you a party gift. The other guy would be Antoine Goodley, because Antoine Goodley can't catch a cold.
It was Spencer Drango that people were like, yeah, he's good.
Wait, Ben, counterpoint Antoine Goodley, because now you like him.
The thing is, he's targeted so much. Like, I don't think his hands are any worse than, like, Eric Ebron's, but because he's targeted so much, it kind of amplifies everything. It makes it look a lot worse than it is.
I think Justice got offended that we were insulting his boy Oakman. Because Oakman at best is Tyson Jackson, okay?
I'm probably going to bail as well because it's kind of late. But before I leave, one more hot take. Stephon Diggs. Is he a first-round pick?
No.
He declares.
If you can start looking like Roddy White, maybe.
I see Steve Smith at USC. I love that comparison a lot.
I mean, I kind of thought he was kind of Marquise Lee-ish, but everyone kind of compared Marquise Lee to Steve Smith, so makes sense.
I don't think he's as fast as people think he is. I was talking to Dave Rugler about him. He's not a huge fan either.
We're talking like Southern Cal Steve Smith, not like the good Steve Smith, right?
Yeah, Southern Cal Steve Smith.
Okay. Not Baltimore, like, good friggin' football player Steve Smith.
Yeah. That guy's fast.
That guy's like 40 and could outrun half of the NFL defense.
Still probably run a 4.3.
Yeah, he's slowed down a little bit. He's probably got a 4.45 in pads.
Anyway, I'm out because I gotta go to sleep.
Yeah, it is pretty late. I think it's good time to call it a night, fellas.
Peace. Good night.
Ben dipped.
Well, it's been fun.
Ben
We should
left.
do this again.
Bye.
Yeah, he didn't say anything.
Let's do it next week.
Sounds good.
I agree. We should do
We'll
it
get
every
either
week now that
Justice
football's back.
Or we'll get another guest. We'll get somebody. We'll do it next week.
Definitely. Well, it's been good catching up, fellas. You guys have a good night. I'll see you next time.
Good night.
Peace.